What is going on, everybody? It is episode 383 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here with my co-hosts once again today, directly in front of me. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hey guys, I am Aiden Mattis. I am the host of the Lore Lodge here on YouTube and also an internet personality according to Google and apparently unemployed according to Twitter.
There you go. Like, that's what happens when you don't have a job. You just show up here and hang out with us for the week, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm here, is that I'm unemployed.
Exactly. And to my right, not unemployed. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, I am Phil Labonte. I am the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary.
Yes, he is. And he finally does the intro again. I like the intro. I want the IRL intro.
You want that? Yeah. I mean, I don't have anytime I can dump on commies, it's a good thing. Anytime I can dump on the ideology that killed hundreds of millions of people in the 20th century, I am all for it.
Did you do that when you were on Rogan?
I was never on Rogan.
Where did I see was it Rogan? Was it something else around that time? The first time, it might have been IRL the first time that I saw you on IRL, because I remember you were here when Alex Jones was here.
Yeah, I was. That was when Tim brought me on, because I was supposed to tame Alex Jones, and all I did was throw gasoline on the fire.
How did he think you were going to be the one to tame Alex Jones?
I don't know, but I love the fact that he made that error.
Yeah, like it's not who you don't bring the heavy metal guy to tame Alex Jones.
I mean, when you yell for a living, you got to expect that there's going to be yelling going on. You know,
makes perfect sense to me. So. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. A bunch of stuff with the intro. The actor Percy Hines White, who we've talked about on this channel before. Thank you for that. We've talked about him before because he was on the show Wednesday. A bunch of allegations came out against him about 4 months ago, if I remember correctly.
Something about that.
And he did not respond to them, which is actually, like, depending, I can't say as to whether this dude is innocent or guilty. I can't know that, but I do know that not shooting off some half-assed remark right away is not always the best course of action. But I do have questions about his response here, which is just a little bit tiptoeing around a lot of information. So we're going to get into that, because he's said that the allegations against him, the abuse allegations, are a misinformation campaign. So we are going to discuss that. We are going to talk about the fact that the movie Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel, which is an anti-child trafficking film, was shelved by Disney before it found its current production home. And we just have the question, like, hey, Disney, why would you do that?
If you have a movie that is anti-child trafficking in production, why stop producing it?
I have questions, so we will get into that. We are also going to talk about the fact that Jamie Foxx's rep has come out and said that the internet is wrong, and it was not an injury from the vaccine that caused his blood clot and his partial paralysis.
But there is a blood clot and partial paralysis.
Yes, they did not deny that.
This is the closest to a confirmation of that information that I've heard so far. I'm not saying that it's the first that's out there, but it's the first that I've heard.
Exactly.
So
we will get into it. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about the fact that if you were on the internet growing up and you followed an influencer, is there any such influencer that you would want to take a college course on? I put a poll up today, and frankly, YouTube is censoring us right now.
This is a censored poll.
This is absolutely some type of. This is a disinformation campaign on YouTube's part. They're sending out false info as if I just put out some fake poll saying that you guys should answer this, and then nobody does. I've got questions. Susan Wojcicki's not in charge over there anymore, is she?
I don't think she. I think she left.
Some new guy or girl.
I mean, clearly, what they don't want the world to know is that what we all want to study is Jake Paul.
Not Livy Dunn.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like Jake Paul, he's a really innocent guy, has never done anything wrong. Truly, you could even say that he might be the second coming of Christ, right? Like,
very, very possible. Hey, I like Logan's the wrestler, right? Logan's the one that's wrestling. I like the one that's wrestling.
I thought they were both wrestling or boxing at this point.
No, like one of them's boxing. I believe Logan is wrestling and Jake is boxing.
I can't tell the difference.
It's all the same.
They do look quite. It's not like Chris and Liam Hemsworth, where you're like, one of these people is obviously more famous than the other.
Yeah, poor Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, poor
There's
Liam
a third
Hemsworth.
brother too. There's that very few people know about. Yeah, he's kind of like the. I think he's older.
What is Hemsworth?
Like, I have no idea. Less than the other Hemsworth. That's what I'm saying. So we're going to talk about that. So go ahead and answer the poll. I'm going to end it at the end of the show. Maybe what'll happen is we'll find out that it'll just magically all the votes will have tabulated, but it won't show until the end. But the reason we're talking about that, the reason I put that poll up there, is because a college in the UK is offering a class on the rise of KSI, which is just, if I had to choose between a KSI class and say a Harry Styles class, I'm taking the KSI
I'm taking
class.
the KSI class 10
every
times out of
single
10
time.
on that one.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about it. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you lads are ready, we will get right into it. Oh, yeah, it's Luke Hemsworth. That's the
Luke
other one.
Hemsworth.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys are ready, we'll get right into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm
you
always
ready?
go.
Let's do this.
Phil's very ready.
All right. So to get into things first, I've got some fantastic news for everybody. I know everyone's been waiting for this. Apple has decided they will stop auto-correcting the word ducking.
Thank God.
So
That's
you are
not the word.
You are now allowed. So you know what? Android, your move.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. Like Android, your move.
I have for years now. I have probably shaved days off of my life that I spent fixing the D and changing it to an F. Like maybe at some point I should have taken it as a sign that I curse too much.
Yeah.
But I would prefer to blame Apple for my own faults.
For a lot of years, I didn't even say the F word. I said frick. I said, just my grandma didn't like the F word. Like, it was just more out of and I had a friend who said frick a lot. So that kind of came into fruition for me. But then the F word worked its way back. And I actually blame the fact that we try to keep this show user friendly on half my trains of thoughts being lost because I'm about to swear.
Yeah, and then
I
you're like,
catch myself and stop, and then I lose the flow of what I was about to say.
I feel like there's a lot of the reason why this show is mostly family friendly is because nobody wants to test Mary.
Yeah.
I really think Mary would end you'd get away with it 2 or 3 times, and then one day she'd just roll up the stairs with a literal axe in her hand, just daring you to swear.
I mean, she's
Are
not.
are you foretelling Bloody Mary? A little bit of a Lizzie Borden cross with Bloody Mary.
She cusses more than us.
I take no stance on any future actions that Mary may or may not.
That's why she's on vacation.
necessary.
She's testing out the guillotines.
Maybe she's so fed up with all the swearing that she needed a break. She's like, oh, I got to get away.
I mean, even if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
it's just the vibe I get. I'm not saying that I totally could be wrong. It's just the gut feeling.
I will say, however, that I do catch myself sometimes when I get mad at something. I go, Jesus freaking Christ, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry.
There are-
But she doesn't get as upset about it as Seamus does.
I know.
Really?
Seamus does not like swears. There are people that will correct me on Twitter if I swear, and they're always because it's I'll be like Jesus effing Christ, and then they'll just be like, Phil.
Yeah.
Do you have to? And they're always so polite about it too. They're never. It's always it could be someone that's like a 25-year-old kid, and I'd still be like, reminds me of grandma. Okay, I get it. I apologize. I'm not trying to offend you. Just because of the way that they're politely asking me, and I'm just like, okay, you're nice.
That's
about
the
it.
thing
I
is
can't.
being polite with somebody online goes so far in changing someone's. And then there's people who are like, cancel this man.
Yeah.
Cancel him. And
You know,
it's
what, what it gives?
Be
It's,
nice.
it's giving. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Very much.
Yeah,
Very much.
and then they're like, you could be so much more.
Yeah, and I feel, and I actually do feel like I've let them down. I'm like, it's and the thing is, they know that I'm not a believer, and they still do it. And just the fact that they ask politely, knowing full well they're just saying, can you please remember that I have feelings too? And it's like, you know what? Because of the way that you're saying it, I appreciate you, and yes, I can. I apologize.
Exactly.
I didn't mean to offend you.
I was always so good at not swearing until I started playing rugby in middle school.
And
and after that, it was downhill.
Yep. Before we move on, guys, before we get started completely, would you hit the like button on this video? Would you subscribe to this channel? If you have not done so already, follow us on all our social medias. And remember,
Do it now!
Yeah, exactly. I started watching Fubar last night. It's actually quite...
Is it any good?
It's very cheesy. And when you watch Arnie move around, he moves around like a 75-year-old. They say he's 65 in the show. He moves around like a dude who's kicking in towards 80.
Well, I heard there's a ton of use of stunt doubles in that movie.
Oh, yeah, it would have to be. It would have to be.
Which at a certain point, I mean, I feel like... I feel like with movie stars, sometimes they do kind
have
of
to, because-
catch on that they're aging out. I think Mark Wahlberg was one who very deliberately... He was in Uncharted, right?
Yes.
So
I liked it. I'm the only one who liked Uncharted.
I didn't see it, but if I remember correctly, he kind of said he felt in that moment that he was kind of passing the torch on to Tom Holland and being like, all right, I guess my role from this point on is probably going to be less action-based and more like the old guy, the mentor, the veteran who's teaching the new guy.
You talking about Marky Mark, though?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I just saw a picture of him like 2 days ago. And
He's ripped.
He is
he's
shredded and he is in shit.
He's
Like,
probably
he
got 10
looks-
years left.
He looks like he's got a lot of time to go and get, buck wild with the stunts and stuff before
Oh,
he's
definitely. It was
'Cause
just
even-
he was the guy saying it. That's why it like occurred to me.
Because even if you look at like Tom Cruise, like he's 60 now or 59.
Yeah, but he's got the Scientology voodoo and the adrenochrome, so he's going to live forever. Guys, remember, super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read them right then and there, and we will get through all the super chats today as we always do. Don't if anyone offers you adrenochrome, don't take it. It's probably bad for you long term. It's
probably bad for you.
It's probably bad for you. So, all right, let's move on. I got a couple of other beefs to pick with the Flash movie, which first of all, I got to talk about the CGI tear in this shot. Before it's absolutely, I can't prove this. I can't prove it. But I look at this picture right here, the screenshot from the movie, and this is giving CGI tear. It is. I'm sorry. But right now, one of the things that I found that was funny was the producers of this film said that they bemusedly couldn't understand why people were saying that this is the greatest superhero movie of all time. Like their own producers were saying that. And the reviews are quite middling. Like it's sitting in the, like everyone, look, I guess maybe 70s is the 70s comparable to what I said a 7 out of 10 was? Does that make it above average?
Yeah. I guess it makes it above average, but I feel
71.
Like you make a movie that's below a 7 and you're getting into the territory of nobody's going to watch that movie until you get down to like the 2 and then
No,
we're
I think you're
once
fine.
you're down to a 2, the movie's so bad that I want to see it.
Well, yeah, 2s and 3s are.
Yeah.
There is enough reason just in how bad it is to watch it. Absolutely.
One of my favorite examples of this is the movie Zombievers, which is horrible but extremely entertaining.
What about
Basket
Velocipaster?
Basket Case.
Velocipaster, I haven't, believe it or not, I haven't seen Velocipaster. Basket Case?
Have either of you seen Basket Case? That is a phenomenal. There's multiples of them. There's like Basket Case 1 and 2. When I was out filling in for Five Finger Death Punch, and on the
Drop
band,
that so casually.
In the chat,
I was doing that.
in the
I
chat,
knew what happened.
Tacty Platty
gotta
says.
check it.
Tacty Platty says waffles. Brett hates the movie Mother. Mother is a movie with Jennifer Lawrence. I don't like The Mother with Jennifer Lopez. Those are very different movies. I did not see Mother with Jennifer Lawrence, so those are different movies. Just to be fair, to be clear. So it's sitting at a 71. And what I thought was interesting is they say the marketing, no Ezra Miller, but lots of Batman in the TV spots. And it calls into question something I've been saying, which is that if normal people, and I really do wholeheartedly believe this, I don't believe that normal people know nor care who Ezra Miller is or have much concern over what he's done.
No, but nobody really cares about who the Flash is either.
Yeah. So you think that it's like a lot of people's thesis is that they're not putting the Flash in the teasers because Ezra Miller's problematic, their term, not mine. But a lot of other people, I think, are saying rightly, or perhaps rightly, that the issue is actually just that people know Batman. A lot of people
and it's
don't care
Michael
about the
Keaton
Flash.
Batman.
Yeah.
That is the only reason. If you think that they're gonna put Ezra Miller as the focal point when you've got Michael Keaton Batman in the movie, no way.
But
They're
it's-
also, they're
Who
also
cares?
probably looking at like the demographics of who's actually going to see movies still and going, the people who like remember Michael Keaton as Batman
can afford movie tickets.
or can afford movie tickets are more likely to actually go to a theater, whereas younger people, younger millennials, Gen Z, they're going to wait for it to come out on a streaming
Remember,
service.
Michael Keaton Batman came out in 1989.
Yes.
I was like 14 years old. I was in middle school still.
It's to get your generation back.
Yeah, it's to get people that are, Gen X, really, to go to the shows. Because I think Gen X has really kind of sworn off a lot of the movies after Endgame. Like Gen X, because Gen X is definitely the generation that has had it with wokeness, right? We're not super loud and
What year
boisterous
does
about it.
what year does Gen X technically start?
Starts in like 1970
and ends
until like 85.
So I'm like off by a year. I was born in '86.
You're just barely a millennial.
This is the problem,
Damn.
though, is that you're 10 years older than me,
Yeah.
and I'm almost Gen Z.
Yeah.
Like I'm on that edge. So the whole generation gap here is really weird.
And you could ask 10 people and get a different year every time about what they say generation starts.
It's more clear with the baby boomers and with Gen X than it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, with baby boomers and Gen X than it is with Gen Z and millennials and Gen Z and stuff.
Yeah, that whole the year 2000 is so murky.
It was, baby boomers started in 45, and so it was 45 to 65, and then some people say 65 to 85 is Gen X, and then 85 to
99.
Okay.
99.
We have a $20 super chat from Kellen, the official data. He says,
hey, Kellen.
milk, 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 milk. Don't trust the feds. Milk, 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 milk. I think I might have missed an extra milk in there somewhere.
It's okay. It's my followers refer to me as the Milk Master for reasons I don't totally understand.
I would love to know the story.
I would also like to know the story.
In any internet context, milk means boobs. Okay, if you're talking about actually cooking at home, going to the store, that's
Doesn't
when
matter.
milk is normal.
Yeah.
Anytime you're on the internet and someone brings up milk, I'm thinking Abby Shapiro.
So what you're telling me,
Perfect!
You're telling me is that I have just beautiful, voluptuous breasts.
That is what
Okay,
your
that's what my
your
followers
community
are telling me.
You know what?
Yes.
I'm thinking we need to get Abby Shapiro on the show.
Well, after that comment, probably not.
Listen, it's not my fault that Abby Shapiro is a beautiful, voluptuous woman.
She's a gorgeous woman. I remember we had like a discussion one day downstairs. Like, I can't actually bring that discussion up. Never mind. False alarm.
Which discussion?
I can't bring that one up. It's not fair.
Did you sign an NDA?
Yes. Let's go with that. So it says, I want to talk a little bit about this last part here. So it says Warner Brothers executives left bemused by claims that it's the greatest superhero movie ever made. So when your own executives are like, huh? Like, that's a question, because first of all, they're saying $190 million budget, to which I say hogwash. I'm sorry. Like, the budget on this thing is clearing $300 million. It's been in production since 2014. It produced through COVID. It went through countless reshoots. This thing is not $190 million. This thing isn't even $250 million. I would bet money on it.
You're going to tell me this movie costs less to make than the first Transformers did? Really?
Well, with inflation, man, I really want to go see Rise of the Beast this weekend.
Worth,
I watched a couple of one of my rules is if I'm gonna go review a movie, especially if we go to the theaters, I don't watch the reviews online until after I've seen it, and even then I don't even like to look at them until after I've actually filmed my review, because I don't want their thoughts to color how I see the film. Right, but I watched a couple of the reviews for Rise of the Beasts, and it seems fine. I liked Tyrone Magnus's review. He had a lot he didn't like about it, but he tends to be one of the more positive guys. He's a guy I would love to have on this podcast, but when you have the following of his size, I just don't know if there's time in the day for something like that. So just imagine you release a new album. And you're and people are like, this is the best album ever. And then you were and then you bemusedly said, what? It is? That's the type of energy they're giving here. Mm-hmm. You would never want that to come out. Mm-hmm. Even if that was true, even if you were, even if you were with a label and they actually thought that, the last thing you want is for them to promote, to actually put that out there and have that leak. That's horrible press for you, right? And the funny thing is, I don't think that The Flash is unpopular as people say. I think a lot of people actually like The Flash. I think Grant Gustin playing The Flash for 9 years was did a lot for the character. But that audience is the Gen Z audience that's not going to the theaters. That's the Gen Z audience that would rather watch it on streaming.
I don't know that The Flash is all that compelling of a character. I see. So when I first heard that Robert Downey, or that they were doing an Iron Man movie, I was like, really? Are people going to care? And then it was Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, well, maybe it'll be cool, because I like Robert Downey Jr. But this was before he had come back as Robert Downey Jr.
He was not the Robert Downey Jr. he is now.
Exactly. So when they first were like, oh, we're doing Iron Man, and then I saw it, I was like, okay, Robert Downey Jr. makes the character, because the character was sufficiently deep and sufficiently interesting. I don't know. I know that Ezra Miller doesn't make The Flash interesting, and the writing isn't enough to make The Flash interesting.
Well, that was written at a time when movies were actually there wasn't a formula to all this the way there is now. Now there's that wasn't filled with endless cameos, and it wasn't a marketing ploy. For
I think the cameos are there. I think the cameos are the point of The Flash.
Yeah, but I'm saying when Iron Man was made, it was made as an actual movie. There wasn't the Marvel formula wasn't what it is now. Most of that first.
But I think still, I don't think think that matters. I don't think that Ezra Miller is compelling enough as an actor to make the Flash interesting the way that Martin Downey Jr. could.
I wonder if they would have been better off.
Jr., yeah.
Like I know that this isn't like this wouldn't be the most popular answer, but I wonder if they were to get a bigger name actor that looks more like. I wonder if a Timothée Chalamet would have been a better casting choice for something like this.
He was so young when they started, and they would have had.
That's
the weird thing is that
2016 was when. And those were filmed in 2014. So how old was he even at that time? He'd been 14 years old. So, but like, I mean, it's not like Hollywood has any shortage of scrawny actors nowadays, right?
But also, I mean, it's from what I understand, like didn't the Snyderverse get kind of like killed?
Yeah. I mean, there's a new video every other day saying it's dead. Oh, but it's not really.
Yeah,
but
like
it is. But
they were like, we're getting rid of Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, and you know who we're keeping?
Getting rid of.
You know who we're going to keep? The guy or the what is Ezra identifying as?
They them. He's non-binary.
They're
non-binary.
We're gonna pick the individual who is probably the most controversial figure in Hollywood right now. We're gonna keep that one.
Well, I mean, at least the most annoying.
I'm more.
They could have cast Timothée Chalamet. Is my point though. Like
I'm more annoyed with the Batman movie they took from us, meaning the Ben Affleck Batman movie that he was supposed to write that was supposed to be Escape from Arkham with Deathstroke.
I want to see. I like Bat Affleck.
Yeah,
I like Bat Affleck.
And we don't have Dane here to rain on our parade, so we can be. This can be a pro Affleck propaganda podcast all day.
Dane can go back to the island.
Exactly. And now he just looks so unhappy. So like hopefully he had fun on his cameo in the Flash.
Yeah.
So all right.
Bat Affleck. I am pro Bat Affleck.
That's why me and Phil are buds, because we're both pro Batfleck.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, also, did you see this meme that's Diablo? Welcome to Hell advert in New York City is perfect timing as the city skies turn orange. Yeah. My other favorite one was when it says now New York knows how Donald Trump feels.
Oh my God.
And or the another one, it was just like it's just Mexico in the movies now, because we always make Mexico just bright orange whenever we put Mexico in a film. It's perfect.
I mean, you get to the U.S.-Mexico border, you can see the orange. It happens, right?
You like walk through a wall of orange.
Well, the weird part was I was seeing all the pictures from New York yesterday, and I was like, "Damn, that's pretty wild."
Yeah.
And then I wake up this morning here, and I'm in West Virginia at my Airbnb, and I'm like, "What?" Because early in the morning in the summer, there's often kind of an early morning haze. Then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Wait, it's 10 not p.m. It's 10 a.m. Like it shouldn't be." It should not be hazy.
And I was gonna dunk on them. I was gonna dunk because the writers' strike is just opting out of protest. They're like, we don't want to protest right now. But then I saw that baseball games are being canceled and the air quality is really, really bad. So I will refrain from dunking on the writers for a moment. Disco Jensen says that for $20 says Batman is the best hero and WBDC messed up big time not headlining a Bat film before Justice League. The funny thing is I was a defender earlier on. I was one of those people who said like, look, that made sense with a lot of the Marvel movies with characters people didn't know, but I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what my original pitch was? My original pitch was actually for them to do similar to how they made Thanos a post-credit character for like three phases.
Yeah.
I wanted Batman to be a post-credit character leading up to the first Batman vs. Superman. So you get all these movies. So you get your Superman movie, and then in the post-credit scene, you see whoever's playing Bruce Wayne. And the beauty of it is you don't need to show who you cast. You can do behind the headshots because it's just, you're not actually seeing the person for the first several movies. So it's him with paper, with clippings of stories about what's going on in Smallville. He's putting them up on like a vision board, like on a board, right? And then the Flash movie's done, and he's got his video stills of the Flash going in and out of these facilities, and he's got links, where he's hacked into Star Labs and getting information on all of these heroes. And then Wonder Woman comes out, and he's got his folder full of microfiche, and all this is happening in the Batcave, and all of these movies have one post-credit scene where Batman he's getting all the information on all the Justice League characters, and then at the end of you do the Wonder Woman one last, and at the end of the Wonder Woman post-credit scene, she actually enters the Batcave and says that, it says, I know what you're doing, and comes to find out that he's about to go try and take out Superman with the armor, right? And I think that would have been a great way. Then you can save the casting, and you don't have to make turbulent casting for the first 3-4 movies. And then by the time you get to it, maybe you have Ben Affleck, maybe you go with somebody else. You get the reveal of who's going to play Batman in the movie. So it's a reason for people to go see the film. And when it's done, then you announce that you've already, got a production release date for Batman vs Superman and Justice League, and that would have been a couple of years later. So it would have taken a couple of extra years to come out, but it would have streamlined the story and allowed those other characters like Cyborg, like the Flash, who just didn't have the pedigree yet to build their stories first. But I figured with their method, I said, look, a lot of these other characters, they've had TV shows before. DC has a lot of consciousness with their characters, even if Marvel's on top right now. I think my idea was better, but obviously implementing it is harder to do than just saying it out loud. Like, there's a lot of logistics and stuff that go into making something like that a reality.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say this too. If you look at who's been handling Marvel's TV series, it's Disney.
Yeah.
And before that, it was I think they had shows on Cartoon Network and also Disney.
Jeff Loeb used to be their TV guy in Netflix.
Marvel has done a really good job with that. DC keeps giving their TV shows to the CW, which is the campiest network on TV.
They also have HBO Max.
But that's the thing, is HBO Max is a subscription service.
And to be fair,
their network TV sucks.
I think they're... What's funny is like Stephen Amell he actually did an interview recently where he said, look, I'm the custodian of Green Arrow now. In a lot of ways, Grant Gustin is the custodian of the Flash. He goes, nobody's asking Tom Welling what they think of the new Superman, which I thought was kind of a bit of shade, considering Stephen Amell is normally seen as a pretty industrious guy. Like, he's not a dude who seems like he would just throw random shade at someone. So that makes me wonder if something happened during that Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
I mean, for me, it's just like I look at what Marvel puts out, and I'm like, I would be willing to go see a movie about this.
Yeah.
And then I see clips from The Flash on the CW, and I'm like, this is literally worse than Power Rangers 20 years ago.
The first 3 seasons of The Flash are good. The first 3 seasons of The Flash are good.
That's what I've heard.
The first 2 seasons of Arrow are phenomenal. The 3rd season is fine. The 4th season is one of the worst television seasons ever. And the 5th season is phenomenal. And then I stopped watching after the 5th season.
But you know which of the shows I stuck around to watch?
What?
Daredevil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Daredevil
my point.
is easily the best, in my personal opinion, the best superhero television show there is. Those first 2 seasons are phenomenal. So we have a $20 one from Patrick McNeely. He says, I'm at work, but hello. The air quality here in North Jersey is still terrible, but at least the sky isn't orange now. Also, Aiden, do you classify yourself as a Pennsyltuckian? Much love from the Skylands. What is a Is that like a Kentucky,
from,
Pennsylvania?
like, Pittsburgh.
We refer to Pennsyltucky as the region between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, which technically yes, but I'm still within I consider myself Philadelphian.
Okay.
Because I am within the 5 counties area. Basically, the way it breaks up in Pennsylvania is you've got Philadelphia County, and then you've got Bucks, Montgomery, Chester, and Delaware.
Yeah.
That's all broadly considered the Philadelphia area. And then you get outside of that into like Lancaster, York County, those guys, those are Pennsyltucky. And that kind of continues all throughout the rest of the state outside of State College, Pittsburgh, and Erie, and Allentown.
Did I tell you my story? Like I used to love Philadelphia. I would go there to skate. I had friends who lived there. First time I was there, I ran up the Rocky Steps. I did the whole spiel. I ran up. I put my arms up. I yelled Adrian. I look around, and just the look of disdain from the locals is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
What did you expect?
Like it was fantastic. Like I'm not a fan of disdain, but in this case, it invigorated me. How like I could literally feel them getting migraines from rolling their eyes. It made me happy. So, but the point here, guys, is Hazard Air from Canadian Wildfire cancels Broadway as well. Like Hamilton is canceled, and the strike, they're like, we're not striking right now. So, how badly do you want those jobs, guys?
They tried to cancel God, and now God is canceling them.
That's one could make that argument. Speaking of things that are very, very bad, like canceling God is bad, Bryan Singer is very, very bad. Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer's a very bad person. He is releasing a financed documentary in which he is going to try and change the narrative around the various claims of very, very, very bad, let's just call them assault cases of people who have yet to reach the age of majority. That seems like a fair enough way to dance around the problem. Right?
It's fair. I just wish that we could on YouTube just say what it is.
So they point out that, look, he was fired from Bohemian Rhapsody after all these claims started to come out for children under the age of 18. We do have some questions here with the language. Me and Aiden, like something that I pointed out to Aiden earlier, where they kind of dance around it. They say for men under the for underage men, which is not.
I have it highlighted right here.
Yeah.
Singer categorically denied ever having sex with or a preference for underage men, which there is no such thing as underage men. Those would be boys.
Yes.
Children. There are so many euphemisms being thrown around in the context regarding underage children. Mm-hmm. The way that people are describing children is really it's worrisome. Because when you use euphemisms to describe children, it always makes me feel like there are nefarious reasons for it. Like my
example is always like, look, when a male teacher assaults has a relationship with a student, they call it sexual assault. When a female teacher has a relationship with a student, they call it sexual misconduct.
Language
matters.
It's coming back.
I get it, but I know that this is not a popular opinion, but there is a difference between.
But in the eyes of the law, it wouldn't be different.
I understand that, but the reason that people do it when it comes to women and men is because males have significantly less danger in having any kind of a sexual relationship with women because they can't get pregnant.
But they shouldn't be editorializing in the articles. They should be using the same terminology based on the legality that was broken.
Theoretically, though, also,
I don't think you're going to get out of editorializing.
If you were, say, a 27-year-old woman who had an affair with a 16-year-old male student and you got pregnant, then that kid is saddled with responsibility for a child that.
Yeah, it's just my problem comes because these ideas, like the idea of the danger that women face, is real because of the way that reality is. Like if a young woman gets pregnant, she could die in childbirth. There's not going to be a young man that gets a woman pregnant, and then he dies in childbirth unless, the woman's husband kills him or something. It's like there are real repercussions that women have to deal with that men just don't.
In this case, though, this is not a man and a woman. This is a case of an adult male in boys that are underage.
Yeah,
there's still a threat of violence.
That's definitely violence. That's a different thing. Yes.
So here it says Bryan Singer's looking to make his return to his lower budget auteur roots with a 3-part narrative feature set in and around Israel, where he has been living in recent years. Singer, who is working without an agent, has been meeting with the would-be investors about backing the films, one of which is set in the 70s. These are the films he's working on, and a documentary about himself where he wants to address the claims that have been made about him. Now 4 people. He settled out of court. He had lawsuits that were settled with 2 of them. He wants to address the claims and document his attempt at a comeback, which one of the things that I think we talk about pretty frequently here is like, look, you want to talk about whether cancel culture or whatever is real or not. There is one fact in this matter, and that is the rich have more of an ability to insulate themselves from the repercussions of things they've done wrong than the average person.
The rich have more ability to insulate themselves about everything.
Exactly.
I will also say the fact that this all happened and then he left the country is a little suspicious.
A little bit,
especially to go to a country like it. You might say, oh well, why not go to like Canada or Mexico where you can still get to the U.S. easily at any time? Like maybe you just wanted to change the scenery. No, he went halfway across the world.
He is Jewish. I don't know if he has family. Like he's adopted, so I don't know if he has family.
Yeah, and I want to be clear that I'm not in any way implying that this has anything to do with it specifically being Israel or him being Jewish. I want to be very clear about that.
No, I'm saying like
if you leave
that
the country after
reason.
those kinds of allegations, it's questionable. There could be reasons, but it does not make him. I'm not saying that is proof or evidence that he did something wrong, but it definitely isn't helping his case. Like the optics aren't good.
So the first if anyone wants a little bit of a history lesson of what happened, the first claims were on the set of a film called Apt Pupil, in which two teenage boys, one 14 and one 17. Interesting, they used boys there, but not in the previous part of the article. 14 and 17-year-old boys said that they were ordered to strip naked for a scene, and I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Nope.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't order young boys to strip naked.
Derp State Surveillance for $20 says birth mortality rates for mothers in the U.S. were 32.9 per 100,000 in 2021. The old but she could die excuse needs to be taken behind the sheds and put on its knees. Are we adults or not? More likely to catch lightning.
We're not talking about modern times. We're talking about why people develop the
Instinct.
opinion and instinct that women are to be protected, because historically, for all of history, up until about the 60s when birth control was developed, it was dangerous for women to behave. It was more dangerous, and there were more immediate problems that could arise for women than for men.
And in this case, one of the things that's interesting about this, they keep talking about how documentaries seem to be like a way back for people who have been accused of these crimes. Certainly, we've found that in society, we love, like, America, the world loves a good all access documentary to like these stories, like the Army Hammer one, where you find out about his evil grandfather and the fact that they're really like, he's from the Arm & Hammer family, like that family fortune. So he's like from a family of billionaires, and like the charges were just dropped against him. But that documentary that paints him as a bad person is going to live on forever. That will never go away. You're never going to see that taken down. Brett Ratner is working on a documentary, and he's been accused of very, very bad things as well. But it's like, for a lot of them, look, if this happens, if we were to say that these allegations were false, and I don't believe that, like, my personal opinion, if you were to ask me, put some money on it, do you think he did these things? I would probably put money on it that he did at least some of these. Certainly the things that he settled out of court for, I would buy that he did it. But the average person, if they're accused of something and they didn't do it, they don't have the recourse of making their own documentary about what they can find to prove their own innocence, because the average person doesn't have the resources to do that. Celebrities do. And it really does feel like in Hollywood, there's always kind of a path back for them, whether they should or should not have it. Look at Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey has been working steadily since he was...
Has he?
Not in America, but he's been working overseas. He's worked not the whole time, but for the last couple of years, he's got a couple of films that came out at Cannes. I think he had 2 films that were...
Where were these movies being shown?
France?
In Cannes, they were shown at Cannes Film Festival, but I believe they were made in France.
Yeah, and where were they being other than Cannes?
Italy,
where were they being marketed?
The UK, or I'm sorry, overseas, not the UK, but
the
EU.
Also, it needs to be said that it is not surprising in the least that if you're going to go somewhere after being canceled for pedophilia, that you go to France.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual...
Didn't France not have an age of consent until like 4 years ago?
No, there was, but it was 15 at least.
And there's there have been a couple
because
of...
the reason I know this is because, like, I talk about a lot of postmodernism and communism and stuff, and Michel Foucault actually, who's a philosopher, a leftist philosopher, he actually was petitioning the French government in the 60s and late 60s to get the age of consent lowered, and it was 15.
Yeah.
Right, and he's trying to get the age of consent lowered.
A couple of actresses, if I remember correctly, at Cannes this year did a bit of protesting over the treatment by the male French directors, who they said had, not the best reputations over there.
Yeah,
So,
the way that the French have treated and looked at sex is definitely different than it has been looked at in the U.S.
Yeah.
and
So I looked it up because I was like, I need to know where I have this wrong. 2021, so it was more recent than I thought.
let's go! Let's go!
I'm glad this happened right now, because if it happened after what I was about to say, that would have been so bad.
And that would have been hilarious.
It would have been hilarious.
Go for it.
Well, what I was going to say is that in 2021, we had the headline, French MPs have voted to back a new law that would set the age of consent at 15 and prohibit sex with relatives aged under 18. No. So incest is cool in France as long as you're adults. Well, But no. So here's the next line, though. It is expected to pass in the Senate and will give France an age of consent for sexual relations for the first time. It became 15 in 2021.
That's
it was just like
crazy.
and Japan was 12 recently, like until very recently.
And people talk about the immorality of.
And over here, it's like, you know, we've got like between 16 and 18.
Yeah. I guess I don't know what are like. I know that it's different from state to state.
We learned in Pennsylvania
So I
in
guess
criminal
15 and
justice, it was
16
16 with, I think it was legal for 16 to 20 and 17 to 21 or
like-
something like that. But after that, there's other laws that can apply that are more civil and you can sue somebody. Like, it was really convoluted.
like
But
that
at least
Michael
it was
Bay-
like below 16's off limits.
It's like that Michael Bay Transformers movie where they actually incorporated a Romeo and Juliet law storyline into it, and I was like, what is this fresh hell?
Who decided that needed to be written into the
$20.
script?
Yeah, from Fresh Meat 999 says, I sent you my horse on Twitter for cute of the day. Please respond.
I showed you
I'm
my horse.
hoping-
Please respond.
I'm hoping that you're talking about the animal.
I think he.
Reese,
I hope.
my friend, I think I saw it at one point, and I might have screwed it up. So if you could perhaps retweet it and tag me in it, that would be fantastic. So thank you very much. Yeah, like it is what it is. But as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he's able to make a documentary about something like this, it just proves how different the rules are a lot of time for the average celebrity, as opposed to the average everyday Joe who just doesn't have the resources.
That's what I was gonna say. Is to be fair, he's self-funding it, but also like
No, that's what I mean. Like,
the
nobody's
average
touching it.
person doesn't have the ability to do that.
Yep. All right. Let us move on, shall we? All right. What would you guys like? Cute of the day? Cringe of the day?
Let's start with cringe.
Cringe? Phil? Cringe?
Cringe.
All right.
Bring us the good news later.
Let's talk about cringe. Today's cringe of the day was submitted by Olivia Clare. She did submit this. I don't know if she's in the chat right now, but she did submit this. This is about a gentleman, an individual named Felix Cipher, who believes that he was. Is it a he? It's a he, right?
He, I
it's
believe.
a he. It's not a they. It's not. It's not a they. Them.
I believe this is a he.
Okay. Believes that they were Adolf Hitler in a past life. It's
Of course they do.
They're like, why can't you just be like a janitor at a local school?
They're
in your
just
past life?
narcissists.
More
They're
importantly,
just narcissists.
Why can't you just not post that on the internet?
Yeah. Let's watch
The whole point is because they're narcissists.
I know.
They're just looking for attention.
Here's the video.
So I need to tell you guys a little something about me. And you can call me crazy, you can call me whatever you'd like.
He does have the cadence right. The cadence is
I'm
good.
very in tune with my past and my past lives and lifetimes that I've lived before this one.
Oh, yeah.
My last life just so happened to be a very infamous one.
Oh,
It's
It was one of the first memories I had from that lifetime. It came to me when I was 5 in my nightmares.
Adolf Hitler did not have the mental illness haircut. I'm sorry.
See right where I shot myself
stupid.
too. That and just so many other things throughout my life have connected me to my past. And you can go say, oh, go get on your meds again, you nutter. I've been on so many meds and none of them have changed what I saw when I was 5.
I do have a. Why not apply a fake mustache? Like,
Yeah.
why get a septum piercing?
You know what I like about the septum piercing? It kind of looks like those like the little metal balls that you put in your car if you have to attach your phone to.
Yeah.
Like the case that attaches your phone.
Yeah.
That's what that looks like to me.
Exactly. It's like, what are you doing, dude?
You know, it is the height of narcissism, Phil, to believe that not only were you a person in your past life, but you were a famous person in your past life.
One of the most infamous people in history, too. Right?
One of the worst people to ever live.
Yep.
I understand that, you know, they're probably boring and they're doing this for attention. The only attention that person deserves is a slap.
There you go.
Honestly, that it's so exhausting to hear, oh, I was Hitler in a... No, you weren't. Shut up. No one believes you. And all the people that do believe you deserve to get slapped as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
It's
like, what's,
exhausting. It's so stupid. It's so narcissistic and so stupid. It's so frustrating. Because if you were Hitler, then it would be justified to kill you again because of how bad you were.
And we don't want to.
yeah, that's the thing. Is like if you are claiming to legitimately possess the soul of Adolf Hitler within your body,
get him again, Mossad. Go get him. Now's your chance.
we disavowed that.
I mean, come on. It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know if we're. I don't know if that
probably,
we're technically allowed to say that. So I disavow
might be a
that.
bit
Yeah.
too far.
It's so dumb. I mean, the whole thing is dumb. It's all make believe.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying it, because it's make believe.
It just makes me so glad that we did not have TikTok when I was a kid. Like when I was well, obviously he's probably closer to my age than I would like to admit. But when I was a kid, we had YouTube, and the process for YouTube was so much more convoluted back then than it is now, where today you film it on your phone. You set your phone on a tripod, you film, boom, it's done. Back then you had to get a camcorder, you had to film it, you had to edit it in iMovie, you had to upload it.
That kid needs a bicycle and to be put on the bicycle and told to go and bicycle 20 miles a day. And they do that, and then they won't have the energy to get on TikTok and lie.
Tell you what, if he went to the gym 2 hours a day, he would not have this problem.
Right?
I'm not saying it would solve his mental illness, but he would not have the energy to think he might be Hitler.
Unreal. Unreal. It's so tedious and stupid.
Okay.
So tedious and
Gold
stupid.
was a gym.
So dumb.
All right. Well, now that we've done cringe, let's
It
wash
actually
the
made me
palate.
angry.
Yeah, let's wash the palate with some cute of the day. We have the first one here from Aiden Mattis on
Aiden.
Twitter. He says, for cute or cringe, I submit Archie for your consideration. Archie is quite adorable.
Archie is the best.
Look at Archie. Oh wow, that is an adorable photo right
This
there.
looks so cute.
That is amazing.
He's a very photogenic creature.
Oh, right next to the play.
I had to give you the play button
Yeah.
one, but look at his little tongue. It's up on his nose.
This is my favorite though.
Yeah, he's adorable.
That is my favorite. Looks like a pillow.
I use him as a pillow sometimes. He loves it.
All right. That is adorable. All right. We've also got from Mistress D says, just got these two little loves in my mom was hit by a car. Did we do this one already?
That sucks. What? They're
just
possums. Of course, Mom was hit by a car.
Hans is on the right and Franz is on the left, and they are here to pump you up. I'm not going to do the German accent, but yes, they are here to pump you up.
Considering the context of today.
Yes, Hans loves apples. Franz loves hanging out in my pocket. Going to be sad when I release them. Hashtag PCC Pets. Hashtag Rescue Life. That is adorable.
Ugh.
Oh, that is very cute. Hans
They're
and
not
Franz.
cute for long.
All right, and we got one more here. This is from WildSong89 on Twitter. Says at popculture_show and Brett Dasovic. Here's my little buddy Rufus, an ornate box tortoise for your cute or cringe segment. Gotta love that built-in smile. I do also love that people are willing to submit their pets for cringe as well. That they're not that they don't adhere strictly to a cute policy. They're leaving it up to the eye of the beholder, but it's adorable.
Sometimes the pet is both cute and cringe.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
Like how many times have you seen a kid do something like a toddler and you're like, "Aw, that was really stupid."
Yeah. Have you ever seen those people who are like, we need to end the babies are cute propaganda? Like, because I'm like, those are the type. I hate those type of people. Because it's like even if it's true, it's annoying that they would say that because it's only meant as a nihilistic tone.
God, I hate. They're so annoying, exhausting, exhausting.
The people on the internet are very exhausting.
They really are. It's so dumb.
People are very nihilistic. It's very frustrating. All right,
Did you
guys.
mean nihilistic or narcissistic?
I said nihilistic. I think they're both, but I've said nihilistic because I look at that stuff as nihilistic.
Yep.
The people who are anti-human, anti-fun, or like a lot of it is like if you go to the pages that do I follow a lot of like the wholesome content pages because sometimes your timeline just needs like a refresh. And like, there's always got to be the comments in there that are just awful. Mm-hmm. And those people, I wonder how they get through the day. All right, let's get started, shall we? So, Percy Hines White, he was accused several months ago of various bad things, from crimes against young ladies at parties when he was from the ages of 17 to 20, to overt racism and stuff online. He was in the show Wednesday with Jenna Ortega. He has been released from that show and will not be in season 2. There's also this over-the-top clip where they claim that he groped Jenna Ortega at a live at an event. And if you watch the clip, we'll play it and you can make of it what you will. But
it was a little. I've seen the clip. It's a little weird.
Yeah, like we'll play it. But the thing is, like a lot of people who are showing it, that like then they slow it down and they zoom in, and it becomes a weird form of pareidolia where you start to see what you want. But we'll look at that. We'll look at all of it. But he has come out and said that the allegations against him are a campaign of misinformation and that the rumors are false. It says the Wednesday Star is calling out allegations against him as a campaign of misinformation. And this is the part. He did not mention what specific allegations he was referring to. I guess you could imply that means it's a blanket statement that all of them are misinformation. But it says that he has assault allegations against him circulating on social media. Now, let's be clear. Allegations as in social media allegations. These are not court-filed allegations, which is a very different thing, right?
Yeah.
So basically, they're saying that he would have basement parties with his friends, and they would invite girls over with the purpose of getting them drunk or high, so that they could do things to them. And the implication there, I guess, was that they would not be drunk or high. They would pretend to be drunk or high, so that they could have power over these women. That seemed to be the long and the short of the claim here.
That seems to sound right.
And they said so they were ages 17 to 20, and the girls they invited were ages 13 to 17. I don't know where they got like the demographics
I can't imagine
for something like this, but
why an 18, 19, 20-year-old would be interested in a 13, 14, 15-year-old. Like,
so whether that's true or not, but here's a couple of the statements. I can put this up here. This was one of the quotes that somebody shared in a video that was on YouTube at one point. Let's see if I have it here. So it says, Percy lives in Toronto, and he and his friend group have been known for, since they were like 15, of being predators and trying to manipulate girls into effing them or giving them nudes. They were pushy, rude, abusive to girlfriends and girls and people in general. And then when he got a bit older, he started throwing parties in his basement, planning with his friends to explicitly invite women that they thought were hot so that they could get them drunk and high enough to have sex with them and lie about being high and drunk as well. At 17 to 2, at least from I don't know what that means.
17 to 20?
Yeah, like at least from what I know, he would pursue, have sex with, and abuse and get my friend high, who was 13 to 14 at the time. Last time I knew they had sex, she was 16 and he was 20. He assaulted me at one of those parties while I was too drunk. He had cornered and pressured and assaulted multiple of my friends. He has R-word allegations against him, and he would laugh at victims, share nudes of girls online, and girls will against their wills. There's a lot of claims.
It is a lot of claims.
It makes him out to be a supervillain. So if they're true, he's a really, really bad dude.
Oh yeah, if all of this is true, he's a disgusting person. Should be in jail.
Really bad dude. But the problem is, what can you prove? Like, you can't prove any of this stuff, and like you're getting into the territory where I don't know how much money he's made in his life, but he could sue, right?
Yeah.
This could be the argument be made that if he lost his job on Wednesday, they may not be able to prove that that's why, but he lost a very, very lucrative job that was probably paying him good money because these allegations came out against
There's
him.
also a chance that they could prove that this is why, because if he was written into like the outlines for the scripts for the season and everything, like the writing process is not just, they sit down and they write the script one day. You have storyboarding, you have outlines, you have beat sheets. There are all of these steps that go in before you start writing a script. So if this does turn out to be why, those girls should definitely lawyer up. But also,
if he didn't do it, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And
well, whether he did it or not, they should lawyer up because he probably has the money to sue them.
Yeah. So he says, earlier this year, somebody I've never met started a campaign of misinformation about me online. Because of this, my family has been doxxed and my friends have received death threats. He writes on an Instagram story post the statement on Tuesday. Underage photos of me were used and examples of me acting in character were presented as hateful. My friend Jane was falsely portrayed as a victim, and her attempts to set the record straight have been ignored. She gave me permission to include her in this message. That's interesting because we've also seen this happen with the Manson case, that people who countered the narrative, or even people who countered the Johnny Depp narrative, were conveniently not consulted or ignored when they pushed back on the claims. And you have to be weary of any movement that's willing to just ignore one side because of it presents an inconvenient truth.
his PR team also just sucks.
Yeah.
Like, this is some of the worst PR for this kind of allegation that I've ever seen in my life. I will say there's certain stuff that has me a little wary of the allegations, which is this one tweet where she says, I can't remember it all because it was a couple years ago for me now. When something like that happens to you, you don't forget, in my experience, is what I'll say. That seems odd to me that you say, I can't remember the details because it was only a couple years ago. I remember what happened to me when I was 14 vividly. Yeah. Like, can picture it. And I know that some people
couldn't that be
trauma
different from different people? It can.
It can. Just for me, having had a bad experience like that, that one strikes me as odd. I really don't have any opinion on whether this is true or not because I feel like everything so far is just he said, she said. I totally believe that it could have happened, but I also am cautious when somebody comes forward and doesn't really provide any details but makes an allegation like this, because if it is true, great. We got him. We got a predator. He's off the streets. If it's not true, then next time somebody comes forward who might have actually been abused, everyone's going to be more skeptical. And that's what kind of happened with me too. There was a pendulum swing. Yep. It was believe all women, and then suddenly it was, wait a second, a whole bunch of these people are verifiably lying. And it swung back to the point where everybody was like, well, don't believe anything women say. And then kind of settled in the middle where it was like, believe, like, give all women the benefit of the doubt and the respect and believe them, but also, don't, maybe we don't immediately cancel somebody until there's facts.
There's no hard and fast rule or answer to any of this, because at the end of the day, it is true, as far from what I remember, that like a lot of these prosecutions don't end up prosecuting, and they end up not being able to prove it in the court of law up to the standard they need to actually put someone in jail, which is discouraging to people who should want to come forward to seek justice. And then you're left with he said, she said, and the problem is they paint people that are just looking to be open-minded to both perspectives as one way or the other. So if you say, look, I'm not going to take what you say at face value, you're going to be painted a certain way and seen as the bad person for not being willing to hear both sides of the argument or not take an emotional response to this. And what I've learned is that moralistic campaigns can become every bit as ruthless as those of the immoral actions of the person they're making the claims against. You
know what I think really is the person who screwed up here? The journalists. Because the way they presented this, it seems like they didn't bother to reach out to anybody and ask, in-depth questions. It seems like they didn't try and find any place where I could say, all right, well, definitively, he was here with this woman at this time. So they put out this story because they want the money, they want the clickbait and all that. And then everybody's sitting here speculating when the fact of the matter is nobody's provided a single shred of hard evidence for either side.
Yeah. Like, so the most you're seeing are infographics that people are making from statements they're making secondhand on social media.
It would be, if they were being honest journalists and they were really trying to do the right thing and get the truth, what they would do is say, hey, there are these allegations. Here's what one party said. Here's what the other party said. There should be nothing further from that point until there is something further. But instead, the journalists are so concerned with getting their story out, with getting their clicks, with getting their name on something, that they're willing to possibly throw this entire thing out of whack. And if he did do it, they might cause people to be skeptical who otherwise wouldn't be. If this had been a little bit more contained, if wait until police reports are made and there's an investigation going, or at the very least cover how the investigation is going. Is it developing? If it isn't developing, why not? Ask that question. But instead, it's like, we're just going to throw all of this spaghetti at the wall, and whatever sticks. It doesn't matter if it's the truth.
And then they added in claims of racism and white supremacy, and that he would make inflammatory statements and bully women.
I also think that's stupid, because you don't need to add in racism and white supremacy to the allegation of sexual assault.
Yes, you do.
You don't. You do, but you don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
He did,
that
however,
should be enough.
He did, however, wear this shirt in public.
Yeah.
It's a picture of it's an I Heart New York shirt with Osama bin Laden in the heart. So
that absolutely does show poor judgment. I will give it that.
But make of that what you will. But he was young at that time, and he made mistakes, I guess. But that's not the same thing as being accused of actual serious physical violence against another person.
Yeah.
Not in the same way. Poor judgment of a shirt, whatever you think of that shirt,
Is it even poor judgment? I mean, at this point,
He's
it's like
being a provocateur.
Yeah, it's like he's just trying to he's doing it to
unless they're gonna
be edgy, and it's like whatever.
Unless they're gonna make the same statement about the people who wear Che Guevara shirts, I want to hear it. So,
well, the people who wear Che Guevara shirts are just stupid. Like that's sheer stupidity.
Too nice. It is not stupidity. It is. It's not stupid. It's different because they totally reject the arguments and history that the real history that Che Guevara did. The things that he did, the people that he killed. They were real people with real lives.
Yep.
Here's
let's look at the clip of like the one that everybody's making a big deal about him in Wednesday.
Yeah, pull that up.
And let people and make your own judgments as to what you think of that clip.
I see a news story about Jenna Ortega being canceled on Snapchat every 5 minutes, and it's always like the most like minor thing that someone on Twitter made a big deal out of for no reason.
She's
20.
She's a lightning rod for various opinions and stuff like that, but she does very well with. She doesn't let it get to her. It seems like, oh no,
yeah, which is just like, but I don't understand why is somebody has success and you immediately need to tear her down for what reason? Like, what did Jenna do?
That's what people are like these days. People
crabs in a bucket.
What's funny is like we had like the biggest YouTube short we ever had here was a video of like Mary talking about her pushing back on the writers from Wednesday because she took stuff out of the script and was like. A producer, not even a producer on the show, called her entitled.
Yeah.
And basically we were talking about like they were calling her entitled and toxic. And my initial position was like, look, that's not her job to take stuff out of the script. She's an actor. That's not her job. But then Wesley's like, yeah, but writers these days are awful. I'm like, that's true. Writers these days are awful. And what she had removed actually should have been removed. Never mind. I'm on the side with her.
Yeah.
I side with her on this one.
And having grown up doing theater and working with the production aspect and being involved in actually getting a play, a film, something off the ground.
Yeah.
The writers and the actors, with plays it's a little bit different because you're often working with material that was written a very long time ago. Yeah. But with newer stuff, considering the actor does go to the lengths they do, and we were joking about this a little bit before the show, but about how sometimes they overdo it and they elevate acting to the level of like epic poetry. Yeah. But what you do as an actor is you do your best to create a backstory for that character, to put yourself in their mind, emulate that character. You are essentially putting on a mask. And what these actors are doing often, like Henry Cavill, like Jenna Ortega, is they become that character when they're on set.
Yeah.
And if there's something in the writing that they genuinely feel doesn't work for that character, it's appropriate for them to go to the writers and say, hey, can we tweak this? I don't think it quite works for what I think the character would do. And for some reason, Henry Cavill doing that and Jenna Ortega doing that, totally normal thing for actors, was just wildly overblown because a bunch of people were narcissistic and felt like, oh, I can't possibly have made the wrong choice with my writing here.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Here's that clip. Well, let's show this here. Let us know what you think. We'll clip it later.
Yeah, can we mute the video and just watch it? Because I feel like the audio is now. Well, that's not what I mean. I mean for the people watching.
Yeah.
To just get the moment without the music informing how you're supposed to feel about it, because it does look weird to me, but I don't know if it looks weird because of the music.
But also, like, is this something where like he made a point to something? He's talking with his hands, and his hand went there. I don't know. So here's my read on this.
As somebody who's close to this age, is I see this as him having a crush on her, which is reasonable. Look at her and listen to her talk. She's funny. She's cute. Like she's a cool person. I don't blame him for having a crush on her. But it looks to me like his situation is he's trying to make a move and she's rejecting it, and he's getting into that awkward moment of not really knowing where the line is.
Also, she like they got mad at her for not like disavowing him.
Yeah.
Like
that's Jenna Ortega?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. You think it was somebody else?
No, I
just like, I didn't know what Jenna Ortega looked like.
Yeah. And there's I have something terrible to say that I'm not going to say.
Okay, perfect.
After the show.
Yes.
Remember it. I want to know what it was.
So yeah, they're saying she clearly wasn't having it, but that's it is a thing that people read too much into small interactions like this.
Yeah.
If she didn't take the opportunity to speak out against this, then especially when people were mad at her about it,
you have to speak. If you have an issue,
Definitely.
you have to speak up.
Yep.
I understand that there are people that don't like confrontation. I understand that it's difficult sometimes. I understand that it's harder for women than it is for men because of temperament usually. The fact that women tend to be more go along to get along than men. Not to say that all women are, just saying. But you still have to. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to make it known when someone is making you uncomfortable or someone has done something like that. Because if you do it 6 months later or a year later, then everybody's going to be talking about, oh, is this real? Did it actually happen? There's no proof, blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff comes if you don't speak up. Speak up for yourself. Find people that'll support you. Your friends will support you. Tell your friends, get support, and speak up for yourself. Seriously.
Yeah, I agree. And this to me looks like the kind of thing where, I have friends who are between this age and my age. I'm 25 years old, and we'll be out at the bar, and something will happen where a guy, brushes a girl a girl's lower back or something, or gets a little too handsy or something. And what often happens is the girls in the group chat will later be like, hey, this happened, should I say something about it? Like it seems, I think people are forgetting how young these two are.
Yeah.
And that there genuinely just is an awkwardness about how to deal with those kinds of urges and feelings with people that you're close to, and people make bad decisions in the moment. I think a lot of people are reading too much into that, but I also think that that's the kind of moment where she needs to go, or somebody on the show needs to go, hey, that's not okay. She's uncomfortable. You need to stop.
It's got to be. It's
preferably one of his guy friends, though.
Yeah, well,
in my opinion,
it should be her.
Yeah,
really.
but
because the thing is, if you're a guy and you speak up for a woman that you aren't sure of what she actually is feeling, you could misread it. It's got to be the person. It's got to be the person that feels uncomfortable with it.
If I were one of his buddies and I saw that happen, I would go to him privately, not put him on blast, not on Twitter, not in the group chat. I would go to him privately and I'd be like, hey, here's what I saw. Here's why I think you need to be careful. You should probably talk to her. That would be the conversation. But unfortunately, because these people are celebrities and they don't have anybody who actually cares about them, they're going to just keep making mistakes and keep getting rolled through this whole thing. We forget, look at almost every child actor that ever comes out of Hollywood. They're broken by the time they're adults because nobody raised them properly.
Yep.
So these people who get into it, nobody's looking out for them. They're just a piggy bank for people.
Yep. So it's his statement, as far as I'm concerned, seemed more like a sidestep to me. Like, why wait all that time for a statement that didn't really address the claims at all? But it is big news because, look, he's not coming back for season 2 of Wednesday, and she's been promoted to she's producing the second season of Wednesday, so it's going to inform how his career works moving forward. Taron Egerton is another person who had claims against him that it hasn't seemed to affect his ability to get work. Mm-hmm. He was in Tokyo Vice right after all of that stuff came out, so it falls into the category of like, when this stuff happens, it's like, I feel like we need to talk about it because it's relevant to the culture, it's relevant to the industry, but at the end of the day, you just don't know. And I don't know, I wasn't there, and I can say that one side seems a bit more credible than the other. In this case, I don't think there actually is a side that seems more credible than the other. They both seem like it all seems kind of a mess.
I have a significant problem caring.
Yeah. There you go.
Like she was not injured. She maybe felt uncomfortable.
I'm talking more about the
we're more talking about
allegations,
him.
The stuff about parties between the age of 17 and 20. Again, I can't prove it. They can't prove it. So what do you do?
Unless there's something tangible that you can do something about. It's tough to be able to really make a call. And honestly, if anyone makes a call on it, they're doing it because they have an emotional reaction to the situation. They're going to be like, it's going to be people that are dudes that have been wrongly accused before that are going to take his side, and then there'll be women that'll be like, I felt uncomfortable in a situation like that, and I know exactly what she's going through, and they're going to take her side. It's all emotional reaction because there's no actual facts that you can can relate.
And both sides will
whatever,
get mad at you for not reacting that way.
Of course, I'm sure the chat's going to start yelling at me in a second for saying that, for not taking a side. But
Right now, chat wants to know the PG version of what you were going to say.
no.
He says no, ladies.
When it's so diabolical that there is no PG version.
He's like, I'm sorry.
It's just one of those. Listen, one of the wonders of existence is thoughts that come into our heads. We have no idea where they come from, which is exactly why you can never punish people for having crazy, weird thoughts.
Phil's here like you're asking me to give you the PG version of a Riley Reid movie. Like
Courier626 has an interesting point. He says, this is the culture that created sex consultants on set. Yeah, we have intimacy coordinators on sets now because of stuff like this.
What?
Because actors are bad people.
I had to cuddle with somebody for a music video we shot for my friend's senior project in high school, and it was that was uncomfortable. I was like, this is weird and awkward trying to orient this for film.
There was one time we were shooting a video and the girl that showed up didn't look anything like the picture, so we sent her home and we just used my girlfriend.
In this case, the intimacy coordinators are they're an extension of the HR department, meaning that they're there to make sure that nobody gets sued. For bad behavior, as we know. And they talk about they help us feel comfortable on set. I'm like, well, if the director's not helping you do that, then, what does the intimacy coordinator know that the director doesn't, and why doesn't the director know that? It's an extension of the HR departments, because it's just there to make sure that nobody gets sued. No, do you actually believe that person cares much whether you're comfortable or not? Their job is not to protect you. Their job is to protect the studio from getting a lawsuit. So, all right, let us do some super chats, shall we? That's you, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
Super chat, shall we?
I'm pulling it up. Yeah, I was pulling it up.
Yep.
Was in another tab.
Peter Leo says, "Sup, Brett? How you doing?"
Oh well, Peter, I'm doing very well, my dude. How are you?
You got the next one?
Yeah, I do. It's Corey Anderson said balsa wet, and I don't know if that's a reference that I just don't get.
I don't get it.
Derp State Surveillance said, which position did you play, Aiden? I was a prop in the scrum supporting the hooker. Still have a Red Cross shirt which says give blood, play rugby. I was, if you saw me standing up, it would make a lot of sense. I was a wing. I was the little guy on the outside because back in those days, I was about 40 pounds lighter. I was around 130, 140 pounds. I was a small boy. Let's see. Tacty Platty said, Phil, thanks for claiming me too as a Gen X. I typically I claim being Zennial. I consider Brett and I Zennials.
I think a Zennial is a make-believe.
I thought a millennial was half Gen Z, half millennial.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I still think that's make-believe too.
Yeah.
You're
either one or the other. We got none of this postmodernism.
I know dates work, guys.
Yeah. Let's do one more, and then let's move on.
From White Trash Panda said, Mattis created the Wendigo milk. That's the story. There was a joke about milking a Wendigo a while back.
Yum.
Yeah, there's just a whole host of things.
All right, guys, let's move on, shall we? I want to talk about the movie Sound of Freedom. I want to talk about it because it looks very, very good. It has a very, very a good message that we should be sending today, which is that child trafficking is bad and it should be stopped and prevented. But the problem is this movie was made about 4 or 5 years ago, back when it was still being produced through Fox. Well, Disney, of course, purchased 20th Century Fox, and then they decided to just shelve the movie.
Yep.
Do you have it? One of the things that I thought was interesting is look, when you go through a merger like that, a lot of people were excited about the fact that Disney was now going to have possession of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Right? They were very excited about that. But there was also talks at the time. They're like, how is this not some type of government, the government has to come in with mergers or with buyouts like that, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have what's
antitrust
stuff. So there's antitrust stuff, and people are like, is Disney getting too big for its britches? Look at the size of this company now. Maybe a good bit of promotion you could have done for yourself is look, we bought this company and we feel strongly about the message behind this film. Maybe they should have pushed it to the forefront and been what made it one of the first things they marketed.
They feel strongly about the message, but it doesn't mean the way that you think it means.
Well, my question here as I'm sitting here is I'm like, how is it that your company is going through a scandal not a scandal necessarily, but a very public argument with the state of Florida over the fact that the governor of Florida is accusing you of grooming children. And you have a movie that is ready to go. You could drop this at any time, Disney Plus, theaters, limited network release, anything. How much do you have to like child trafficking to not put the movie out? Like, this is the easiest PR tool anyone has ever been given. And Disney's like, I would rather keep this on the shelf than put it out and have zero bad come of it. There is no negative to putting this film out. And Disney's like, sitting on the shelves.
No, there's no negative for normal people.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is if you're a normal person, there's no problem with putting this movie out.
It's pretty clear that the people involved are not normal people.
If you're a lizard, if you're secretly a lizard underneath the CEO mask, and you actually support this type of stuff because you need your adrenochrome supply replenished, then you wouldn't want this movie to come out. Obviously, I think the timing on that might be a little bit off because likely if it's coming out now, it was probably sold off and optioned to other places before they got in the fight with DeSantis.
Yes, I believe it says that after it was shelved, it took them about a year to get the people who made it took them a year to get the rights back.
Oh yeah, I saw advertisements when they started pushing this back in like 2020 on Instagram when they launched the Instagram for this movie. And I'm obviously I'm a stan because I'm a big Jim Caviezel fan. Person of Interest is my favorite show of all time. The movie Frequency. Jim Caviezel is a fantastic actor, and he's been, for all intents and purposes, pretty blackballed from Hollywood after Passion of the Christ. After he did Passion of the Christ, nobody wanted to touch him with a 10-foot pole until he did Person of Interest, which was a Jonathan Nolan production. And he has since been one of those people where he campaigns fiercely for the protection of children. He does kind of make the mistake of getting a little bit bombastic with his language, which makes it hard for people to for normal people who are not in tune to the culture war or religious. They hear him say things like, he's like, we're fighting evil. Like, he says stuff that's inherently true, but if you're not read in on what's going on, it can sound a little out there.
Yeah,
he had one where he did this thing on Twitter, and it, like, I know what's going on, but it sounded a little weird to me. And like people he had worked with before, like Kirk Acevedo, was just like, dude, what happened to you?
Here's a $20 super chat.
But nothing happened to him. The problem is just that other people don't understand what's going on in the world right now. Perturbed Alpaca says, tax return chat. Awesome. Maybe one day I'll join the tax heroes wall, but for now, I need to be free to prepare the homestead. Until then, have some money, have some of that money that should have been in my pocket anyways. Also, the mouse is a PDF file. That is
That's
possible.
a good way to put it. PDF file.
That's Mary's. Mary came up with PDF
it.
file.
Good job, Mary. That's a good one.
So, look, I think it does seem like a slam dunk that you go ahead and you make this movie. You have this movie, you get ready to come out, and then you say, "Look, guys, we're permitting the cops." Have you ever noticed? Whenever a TV show, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of TV or have watched a lot of TV in the past, anytime they would do topical episodes, they would have like if you do an episode, like there's an episode of Veronica Mars that has to do with like gambling, and at the end of the episode, it says like if you or somebody you know has a gambling addiction. Like,
those kind of things are good. Like
they
would have those at the end of like all kinds of sitcoms and stuff like that. They would have touch a serious topic, and it would be one of the more sober, episodes. And
problem is now every episode would need to have it because all they talk about is annoyingly topical stuff all the time.
I do have to say, I think this show needs a drinking game for every time you mention Veronica Mars.
It goes through phases. So like if I'm in the middle of a show, it becomes the focus of like every example I give until I start watching another show again, and then that show becomes there was a time when I was rewatching The Wire where everything I related to had to do with The Wire.
Oh, it was by no means a criticism. I do it with Lord of the Rings all the time. It's become a joke on our show, The Weird Bible. That has become a joke, is that I always bring up Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So they could very easily have done look, Disney's partnering with this film studio to combat combat human trafficking, to combat child labor, child trafficking. But you know what? I just don't know if they want to do that. They're probably in league with the Girl Scouts. They like child labor.
Also, at any point,
The children do yearn for the mines.
yes, the children yearn for the
forget that.
mines.
And we're not even.
Children yearn
And
for
by the way,
mines.
I'm being very generous with my language here. I'm saying child labor, but we know that that's not what they're talking about here, because that's not what
Yeah.
this movie is about.
No.
This movie is about a guy who becomes a vigilante after rescuing a child from a.
I'm going to hell.
Go for it.
Oh no, why? Just come on.
Go ahead.
Is the labor backing that thing up?
Oh no!
man.
I told you.
That's wrong.
Someone
Yes,
slapped
I
Phil on
know.
the wrist, but not
No,
me. I'm scared. He's
don't,
kind of buff.
don't.
The film follows the story of Operation Underground Railroad CEO Tim Ballard. Has since picked up by Angel Studios. He goes and becomes a vigilante, and I'm very much looking forward to this. It's coming out over the 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm
gonna
looking
be
forward to this one.
going seeing it in Minnesota while I'm back there. He says he previously pitched viewers to invest in the P&A for the film. Harmon returned the story about how the film was shelved by the Walt Disney Company. Going back to that story, Fox was originally going to distribute it. Then Disney buys Fox. For whatever reason, Disney decides to shelve it. And it took you and your team a year to get the rights back. This film was made 5 years ago. So this film should have come out ages ago.
Well, and that's the other thing that I think about. You know, one of the biggest wins Trump had as a president was his anti-child trafficking stuff. I mean, I think it was up 800%, something like that, for arrests. He founded a new presidential task force to handle the missing and murdered indigenous women and girls problem, which is something that we've talked about extensively over on my channel. But like there was a real moment for left and right unity in the culture war and in politics and in everything when this film was made in 2018, 2019. Like they had an opportunity to say, let's come together, let's put aside the political infighting to do something good, to put something out that's going to really make people care about this issue. And I really cannot think of a way in which this was not a deliberate decision made by people who want this to continue.
Yep.
Like that's
especially for corporations
I
as big
refuse
as Disney, which
yeah.
have CEOs and workers at the highest levels of the corporate structure.
And what were they going to lose?
Who make that much money? Who are clearly, it is what it is.
Were they going to lose by releasing this film? The worst thing that happens is it's a bad movie. And people are like, Disney released
made a bad movie. Shocking.
It's like,
And even
there
then-
are a lot of bad Disney movies out there.
And even then, they can be like, well, it was a Fox movie. So
Yeah,
it
exactly.
doesn't matter. So
we picked it up during the merger.
Yeah.
Like there was absolutely, and this is actually starting to make me angry. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna meditate
No,
for a
go
second.
for it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I look at this and I have no way of being charitable when I look at this situation. You had a movie. It's not like this was in the beginning stages of production. It was going to cost them $50 million to make, and so they went, you know what? This wasn't really in our plan. We're going to put it on the side. This is a movie that was made. It was ready to go. It was about something everybody can agree is bad. And it could have actually been a legitimate force for good in the culture. And instead, some bigwig at Disney went, no, I like my little private island down in the Bahamas too much. And I like what goes on there. So I don't want to stop this from happening. Like, I cannot see a way in which this was not a decision made by somebody who is a pedophile.
If not that, it's like, what? Then why? Right? Like,
There's no other reason.
Like, you could make the argument, like, look, it's not on brand for us. And it's like, well, your brand is about you. Like, literally, it's like we're the happiest place on earth.
What brand does Disney have? Disney owns everything.
I know, right?
And that's the thing. Disney had it. They did not have to release it as a Disney movie.
Yeah, it would
it
just
could have
been
been
a
as an
20th century
ABC movie, 21st Century Fox. Could have been any subsidiary of Disney.
Yeah.
Did not need a Disney logo on it, and they chose not to show it. There is no charitable reason.
Searchlight Pictures, 20th Century. Like, there's an endless amount of ways you
Could have sold it off to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what ends up happening is it takes forever to get the rights back. And
Exactly. But that's the thing is, like, they didn't even give them the rights. Like, the movie was made. Disney didn't pay anything for it.
yeah, it's shocking to me
Yeah.
that something like this, especially for something where it's like, I just see it as like remember when Ricky Gervais did the stand up during and he talked about it. He's like, Apple talking down to you while using children, like child labor in the mines. There you go. Children, mines, bad.
Yep.
And it's a way to get great PR at no cost. And it's just shocking that they wouldn't go and do that, especially since for me, I would have liked to have seen this come out when it was actually designed to come out, because like you said, there was a time right then where we could have actually maybe used a little bit of unity in the culture. And is there a few things that people should be able to agree on more than the abuse of children is abhorrent and one of the worst things that's ever happened to,
What do we need more than anything right now?
yeah,
That is
stuff we can all agree on.
Something
stuff
we can
that brings
unite
people
over.
together.
Because right now we are actually staring down the barrel of both the possibility of World War III and a U.S. Civil War.
Yep.
Like we are looking down the barrel of that within the next 20 years. And instead of going for unity, it's let's shelve the child trafficking film because it's not our brand. No, they want this to continue.
All right, Phil, would you be surprised if Disney had put something like this out? Would it seem like something that they would have released?
I mean, I would definitely be surprised if anything that draws attention to child trafficking, like or child abuse, like I don't expect any major studios to put it out because it implicates themselves.
Yeah, like it's like they don't want to shine the light too hard lest it come back on them. And I said, like, there have been movies, we talked about it recently, like people were pointing out there are some movies that covered it, but it seemed like most of the examples that I saw were from the early 2000s, and they've become less common and more sparse since then.
Yes, and there's also the fact that even if it does get made and released, it doesn't get the same kind of attention. I mean, you look at what happened with Cuties. For Netflix, and there was a lot of pushback against the people that were saying that Cuties was bad, and that would honestly, the fact that it was made in France came up and stuff, and there was all kinds of apologia for the producers and stuff. This is not something that is surprising to hear about Hollywood. So I don't think that there's going to be any studio that's going to want to get behind this and really push for some kind of actual real world effect.
It really is a backwards culture that we live in. It really is a backwards culture.
I mean, look, I know that, like, I don't want to get off on a tangent and stuff, but
I love it when people tangent.
Well, all of this stuff is completely and totally justified if you are looking at like queer theory and basically the cutting edge sexual sociology and stuff like that. There are people on the left that don't believe that children are innocent. They don't believe in innocence. They don't believe that children should not be exposed to sexuality.
Evil.
And, yeah, well, I mean, evil, gross, whatever you want to call it. But there are people that write books about this stuff. You can read the books by Michel Foucault. You can read the books by Herbert Marcuse, by Judith Butler. These are people that you can go and find their books, find their stuff. Even Sigmund Freud touched on this kind of stuff. Like Sigmund Freud, Marcuse, and Foucault are probably the most influential philosophers of the last half of the 20th century. Actually, Sigmund Freud is probably earlier, but either way,
I think.
Who?
Sartre.
Sartre. These are all people that cover these topics, and the people that are reading these books and reading this philosophy, they internalize it and they believe it's true, and they want to teach children sexuality. Marcuse talked about intergenerational relationships. Judith Butler talked about intergenerational relationships, and what they mean is adults having sex with children. If you look at a lot of the queer theorists that are like modern queer theorists, they're writing books that justify sex with children. There's this person called Little Miss Hot Mess. You can Google her.
I saw you post something.
Yeah, and it's a trans woman, I believe, might possibly be a drag queen, so I could be misgendering them, but it's not intentional for a malicious reason. But Little Miss Hot Mess writes stuff saying, kids are kinky, children are kinky, blah, blah, blah. And these are real. These people are taken seriously. I understand that most people don't get interested in philosophy and they don't read philosophy. You can ignore philosophy, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring philosophy. And the consequences of ignoring philosophy is thinking that you're insulated from things like academics justifying child rape. And it's a real thing. So if you wanna fight back against this stuff, your best bet is to spend some time learning about what is being taught in the humanities departments. Learn about queer theory. Learn about the cutting edge of human sexuality, which is that's what they'll call it, but it's literally just justifying spending all day thinking about your own genitals. So
unreal.
It is. It's disgusting, but but it is out there to find. It's not like I'm the guy that's making up this stuff. Go find the resources. I've already listed a bunch of names you can go and read. So
another thing that was interesting about this movie is that the guy who it's based on, Tim Ballard, insisted that Jim Caviezel play him in the movie, even though the producers didn't want him to do it because of all the baggage that comes with hiring Jim Caviezel.
It's pretty wild that playing Jesus in a movie is affecting his career, 20 years later?
Well, it's not just that. There was also this. So there's an interview with Jim Caviezel about the film concerning its subject matter, its themes, and distribution difficulties that leaked online.
Hey, we got a $20.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We got a $20 super chat from Perturbed Alpaca. He says, more tax return money for Aiden's generous prediction for the length of time until the Boogaloo Part 2.
Whoa.
I hope I have 20 years to prepare.
I tell you what.
I might have been being optimistic.
Yeah.
20 years to prepare. I mean, I'm not in any way the guy that's looking to set it off, but if it's 20 years from now, I'm gonna be useless.
Yeah. So here's what it says.
You can write the new anthem. You can write the new anthem.
You're going to be protecting me. I'm not going to be of any use.
So it says an interview with Jim Caviezel about the film concerning its subject matter, themes, and distribution difficulties was leaked online and became subject of controversy as some of the things discussed reinforced concepts the far-right conspiracy theorist group QAnon often focus on. Mainstream media outlets such as CNN ran stories debunking all of the rhetoric discussed by Caviezel, and several entertainment industry professionals who criticized the character of Caviezel and expressed disinterest in working with him in the future. Not long after that, the talent agency that represented Caviezel ended their contract with him. Here's a funny story about Jim Caviezel as well. He once he would argue with a pro-choice friend about he's pro-life because he's extremely religious, and his friend said, like, he made the typical argument. He was like, "Why don't you adopt then?" Right? They always make that argument.
Yes, they do.
Why don't you house illegal immigrants in your house?
He adopted. He said, if you adopt a child from, I think it's China, I'll change my stance to pro-life. He adopted 2 children from China, and the guy refused to change his stance.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
They're all liars.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of Christians in the world who are really bad at it, but when I hear something like that, I'm like, thank God for people like that who really do put their money where their mouth is.
It's like when they were saying Amy Coney Barrett was like the face of white supremacy, despite the fact that she'd adopted children from Africa.
Yeah, like that's when I knew that our tenure as a country where reasonable discourse existed was over, was when they started going after Amy Coney Barrett for all of these things.
She's
like,
so benign.
She adopted those children out of her own ego. It's like, okay,
you can't
That's
win.
because they're not. That's because they're not principled. It is all power. The left only views the left views political discourse as an exercise in power. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about honesty. And the reason they don't care about the truth is because they don't believe the truth exists.
Nope. It's functional to whatever they need it to be. All
He
right.
was in a movie. He was in a Monte Cristo. Count him on.
Yeah, he played Edmund
that.
Dantes. Yeah.
I might have to watch that
It's
because
good.
I love the book.
Yeah. I saw.
Also, if you haven't read Count of Monte Cristo, oh my God, go back and read it as an adult on your own time.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And I just saw his version of the Count of Monte Cristo recently for the first time. I had never seen that one.
I just saw there was someone that put a super chat. Well, actually, no, we can
wait.
We can wait.
All right, let's go to super chats then.
All right, I'm pulling it up. We got okay. All right. Okay. That. Yeah, we had that one. All right. Peter Leo said, Aiden, I was a 911 operator for Chester County. # Wawa. Oh, God, praise Wawa. It's been too long.
We don't have Wawa up in New England,
Yeah.
right? But they got Sheets around here, and Sheets are pretty impressive.
Have you been to a Wawa?
I've been to.
What was your thought?
I've been to literally every state in America.
What was your thoughts though?
They're great.
Okay,
they're
you
great.
do like Wawa. Cool.
And the reason I brought up Sheets is because it reminds me of Wawa.
Yeah.
They have a similar format.
Similar vibes. Yeah.
So
I wish Wawa had a beer cave. That would improve Wawa quite a bit. There's one that has
enough.
a liquor license now, which is like, okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sketch Therapy said PewDiePie is the only influencer worth studying. PewDiePie and Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
If you're a content creator, Mr. Beast is like a case study.
In business acumen for sure, and the ability to
Yeah.
like, it really is funny. You kind of like what you're saying about how there's no truth but power. Mr. Beast is a good example of that too for them, because it doesn't matter how much good you do in the world, they can make it a negative. They do not believe in they have no principles, because you could do 1,000 nice things and they will find a way to make that nice thing a bad thing.
It is not about, they do not, you're totally right. They do not care about if you're doing good or not. It is all about power.
Well, the problem is it's that an individual did it.
Yeah, they
want
want the
everything to be the collective, whether that's the state, whether that's a political party, a union. It doesn't matter. They hate.
How dare you show up?
Individualism.
How dare you show up and quickly solve the blindness, cure the blindness of 10 people, when we could have had the government do it far more inefficiently over a longer period of time.
And probably killed a bunch of people along the way in testing. Tacky Platty said, Phil, what's wrong with Call of Duty? Not trolling, just curious.
Well, first of all, my first problem with Call of Duty is the graphics. If you look at it, they look like marionettes. All the characters, the movement. If you look at like a lot of video games like Halo Infinite, that looks good when the characters are running and stuff. In Call of Duty, I can't help but feel like they all look like Team America running around.
Hey, I love that
The
movie.
last Modern Warfare absolutely gave me that feeling. Yeah, it was weird.
And then my other problem with it, the reason I uninstalled it was because they got rid of the big map, and the only thing they had was the solo.
Oh, so you haven't played Warzone 2?
Yeah, I just got rid of it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever. And I was very unhappy because they had the big map where you could do solos, but then they got rid of that for a little while.
Yeah.
And it was then the only solos they had was Rebirth, and I don't want to play the spastic run around feeling like you're like, I like the whole sneaking around, being quiet that you can do on the big map. You can't.
You and
do
I
that
would
on-
enjoy playing Call of Duty together.
Yeah, you can't
we have
do
similar
that.
play styles.
You can't do that on the Rebirth Island. It's all spaz running around all the time. You're like, freaking out. So
It's very
There
frustrating.
was a $10 one from
Sure.
Boosted
Did I miss
Yogi
it?
up there. Yeah.
Oh, I did. That's my bad. It was Boosted Yogi said, we definitely need Han Solo burger in this timeline.
what would be on a Han Solo burger? Please super chat again and let us know.
I must know what goes on the Han Solo burger.
$20 super chat to let us know, please.
Fresh Meat 99. Oh, that was already read. Okay, that was the horse. The White Trash Panda said, I was Pol Pot's pet raccoon in a past life.
Ah.
You know what? I would believe that one. That is
More believable
That is
than
more
I was
believable.
Hitler. Yeah.
Let's do one more. Patrick McNeely.
Sure. Patrick Neely said, break up Disney like they did to Standard Oil and Bell Systems, or have them pull a Penn Central and file the largest bankruptcy in history.
I mean, I'm always weary of government getting involved in private business, but with Disney, it is one of those things where you wonder, like, how many companies do you have to buy? Like, whenever you look at a movie review now on a website, just remember, Disney owns a majority of those sites. They own stake in a majority of those companies that are reviewing their movies. A fun fact, the guy who is the CEO of Rotten Tomatoes used to be a Disney executive. Coincidence? I think not.
I have always, I share your opinion. I've always been very skeptical of government and far more comfortable with private industry, because government has the guns, right? Yeah. Government is, when government wants something and you say no, you don't get, you don't go buy something else. You get some dude at your house kicking in your door, shooting your dog or whatever.
Yep.
So
the only people who kill more dogs than PETA are the ATF.
Yeah. So historically I have agreed, but because of what I see happening with companies like Vanguard,
it's all becoming one thing.
Yeah,
anyways.
it's really becoming it's becoming more and more difficult to distinguish between government and corporations, which is real fashy feeling,
Yep. All right, I agree. Let's hold off on the rest. We will come back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit about Jamie Foxx. In this case, we're going to talk about Jamie Foxx's rep, who shuts down the theory that Jamie Foxx's partial paralysis and blood clot was caused by vaccine injury, which is something that a lot of people had questions about, because he had acknowledged that he was hesitant to take the vaccine. We actually just had a story the other day where, after this story broke, people were pointing back to an Ice Cube story where he turned down a $9 million payday on a movie because he didn't want to be forced to take an experimental vaccine.
Yep.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. But after TMZ reported that the screen star's relatives were spotted visiting him in a Chicago physical therapy rehabilitation facility on May 30th, podcast host and gossip columnist AJ Benza claimed to know exactly what happened to Fox. And we did talk about that on here. We talked about the fact that he claims that it was absolutely that. I said we should remain speculative about it. But the statement from from Jamie Foxx's rep says that is completely inaccurate. I would be interested to know whether they can prove, like, you can't prove that.
Well, that's the problem with all of this.
With all of this.
Because you could get a blood clot and stroke any day.
He could have just been like, I mean, he looks like he's a pretty healthy dude, but like things happen, right? There is no
It
proof,
does, yeah.
But at the same time,
There it is.
at the same time, you have to keep your eyes open to coincidences and things that happen. And one thing that I pointed out recently. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. It's like, look, I can't make a claim one way or the other. I'm not some pro this, and I'm not some pro or anti anything.
Right.
I would rather take it case by case. But since starting to following the news, I don't know if the number of healthy young athletes dying is a coincidence or if that was always happening and I just wasn't noticing it, right? Is that a symptom of me just reading the news more? Or is that something going on in society that's changed in the last couple of years? I can't say for sure. I don't know. And I'm sure that people in the chat will want me to take a hard stance one way or the other. Use your common sense. It's clearly this. Maybe you're right. But I can't know that for sure. But I do know that either way, it's not like his rep is there to give you an accurate representation. His rep is there to cover for him, as he should. That's his job.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, that's the position we're in now, is with Jamie Foxx, with Damar Hamlin, any of these people, we can't look at it and say objectively this was the vaccine or this wasn't the vaccine. And I think I will say, I think part of the reason that they tried to do this in like 100% rollout when they did was so that if there were any problems, then they could say, oh, well, we don't know if it's the vaccine because everybody got the vaccine. And also, we don't know if it's the vaccine or if it's COVID. But now they've created a situation where things like this come out and everyone knows that you can't definitively say what it was one way or the other.
Yeah.
But nobody trusts the CDC anymore.
I mean, for good reason.
Yeah, I know. And now what? Like, what have you done? Now there could come along a pandemic that kills 10% of people that it infects. And people are going to be like, it doesn't really.
I don't know about that.
Maybe not 10%. But
it depends on... Honestly, a lot of it depends on how gruesome the disease actually is. If you even if you had something that killed on a scale the way that we were afraid that COVID possibly could when it first came out, like there was like, what if it's like 2 or 3%, mortality rate? If you had 2 or 3% of people dying of an Ebola-like disease where,
brain hemorrhages and stuff
bleeding
like
out
that.
the eyes, people are covered in blood, you're literally sweating blood as your internal organs liquefy. That would get people to be like, all right, it doesn't matter who says, it doesn't matter if it's the CDC or Satan himself. People be like, I'm getting that vaccine, so
I'm sitting here as a Christian like, if Satan himself told me to get a vaccine,
what do you think he's gonna look like?
Satan?
Yeah, he's gonna look like Jesus. If Satan were real and he came to Earth and he wanted to get people to take a vaccine, he's not going to look like the big horns on fire Satan. He's going to look like Jesus.
Well, he's got a wig that covers the horns.
That's what we're warned about in Revelation. I'm not going to sit here and interpret Revelation for anybody because I think that's a ridiculous thing to try and do, because you're trying to understand symbolic imagery from 2,000 years ago that you don't have any cultural context for.
Yeah.
But I look at it and, like, in the book of Revelation, it says that there will be a false prophet who appears and that people will follow the false prophet, and you need to stay strong, and that this person will basically push against everything to be true of Christianity. And so I'm not sitting here trying to make a religious lecture at all. It's just like, that is kind of just what you said, Phil, is exactly what is supposed to happen in Christianity.
I'm just going to do whatever Andrew Tate does.
I know the stories.
I'm just going to do whatever Andrew Tate does. I'm just going to take his advice on everything.
That I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm kidding. A question here is, though, is like, look, the Hollywood just ended their COVID mandates in May. Just got rid of them. You're now allowed to suddenly not be vaccinated if you're a Zone 1 operator, meaning like somebody who works in direct contact with the actors. Oddly enough, you still now get COVID checks if you're doing intimate scenes. So, like, if you're doing any type of sex scene, you're going to have to be COVID checked.
Well, I mean, as we all know, COVID is an STD.
Yes, exactly. It's the same thing.
Like,
you should watch that if you guys get a chance. There's a great Nicole Arbour skit where she dresses up. She's the flu, and she's talking about where my stats went in 2020.
I disavow Nicole Arbour.
I don't even know who that is.
It wasn't saying that she's fantastic. I'm saying the skit was funny. The skit was funny.
what does she do?
She's a comedian.
Okay.
But yes, Phil disavows Nicole Arbour.
Is she a female comedian, or does she call herself a comedian?
She's just a female.
Okay, then I'm willing to listen.
Yeah.
If you say comedian, I immediately discount you.
No,
She's a comedian.
she's that skit was funny, but look, for Hollywood to do this, especially after forcing people, like, they had very rigid protocols. We had Greg Ellis was on IRL, I think about a year. It might have been about a year ago now, maybe a little bit less. And he was talking about, like, look, it's turned into a racket. Testing has become a racket. All aspects of it have become a money maker in the industry. Like, you think somebody who's making all this money testing people every day is going to want to give that up?
Yep.
No. So you can understand where the fear that this dude would have been basically forced into taking an experimental medication would come from. Anybody who has two brain cells to rub together and can form a coherent thought can see how that process would come to be. My problem is that then the articles all throw around the word conspiracy theory and act as if me just putting a couple of things together and not even really making an indictment of what I think is true or not, but saying, like, look, this is what we know to be true. This is what we know the outcome could be from various angles because of financial repercussions, because of the push from the government. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just asking questions, and I got a problem with that.
I will say this: one of my cousins got the vaccine, and ended up in the hospital with myocarditis. He's a month younger than me.
Yeah.
A month, same height, similar weight. Vaccine, myocarditis. I have 2 shots, by the way, of Pfizer. I got him back in spring.
Did you get the tattoo, like those people who got the tattoos of the
spring?
Did you see those?
Oh,
people
yeah.
who got they got a tattoo of like a Band-Aid with Pfizer on it. Like,
I was supposed to go to Europe I was supposed to go to Britain for a year, so I had to get the shot.
see, coercion.
Yeah, yeah, but what I was gonna say though, my cousin gets the shot, ends up in the hospital with myocarditis. I got COVID the first wave.
Yeah.
I had it before we knew it was COVID.
Yeah. So
I didn't end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, I'm like, I remember vividly sitting here with everybody in my life, everybody online, all of that saying, you need to get the vaccine, you have to get it. And me being like, I just watched somebody I know, somebody I care about, somebody who's related to me, who has similar DNA to me.
Yeah.
And this is an mRNA shot. Go to the hospital because of the shot.
Yeah.
It is absurd that you would suggest that I go get a third one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the vaccine didn't do anything helpful, but or that it was a conspiracy or anything. I personally don't know. I have questions, but I'm not allowed to ask them. And that's what bothers me, because my entire job is asking questions and doing investigation, and
So
I'm not allowed to.
You're the Jesse Ventura of cryptids.
Oh God, I suppose.
I'm just asking questions. How did one plane hit 2 towers?
Did he actually ask that question?
Something like that. It was like, I'm just asking questions. I can do a bad Jesse Ventura imitation because I'm from Minnesota and he was my governor, so I'm allowed I'm allowed to do that.
Still cannot believe that man got elected governor.
Man, he's a man. We should have him. He should be president. Are you
just
kidding me? Jesse Ventura rules.
He just does not come across as a politician to me.
Well, so he was Trump before Trump.
I know. I love it.
He was like far more libertarian, weed smoking Trump than what we have now. So I want him back. As far as I'm concerned, he should be president. But yeah, I just see this and I think the coercion and the guilt that was placed on so many people in that industry who, when you really think about it, they should have been free from it because a lot of them were independent contractors. You shouldn't be forced to do that if you're an independent contractor. If you're just working for yourself, like imagine like every single studio you go work for makes you get a new booster every time or provide some type of proof that you had it recently. And it's just like,
what bugged me about the whole thing is like back at the time, there was a legitimate amount of uncertainty and worry. And we held on to it for so long that even into this year, you had people who were who were like bragging about getting their 6th, 7th, shot. They're wearing 6 masks on an airplane. And you're like, this has gone from being a healthy dose of caution to delusion. And you weren't allowed to say it.
It's like a weird type of like big pharma hero worship. Yeah. No. Oh, and it's how did 2 planes hit 3 towers?
Yeah. Also, I'm sitting here and like, a lot of people that I've talked to.
What about buildings?
They think that my opinions on COVID are like QAnon stuff. No, not at all. It's that I've looked into Manson and MK Ultra and the Tuskegee experiment, and the Los Alamos body snatchers, and the MIT experiments where they fed radioactive oatmeal to disabled children. And I sit there and I look at all of that, and my buddy, Wendigoon, Isaiah, if you think the government wouldn't do that, yes, they would.
Yeah.
Just every time.
Whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. The United States federal government dropped a bomb on a city that killed 50,000 people in one day. They nuked a city. If you think that they wouldn't do the most atrocious things, then you're wrong. And the U.S. government, in like historical context, is mild. Think about what the Nazis did. Think about what the communists did. The human beings' capacity for evil is far beyond what most people are willing to accept and admit.
All right. We got some super chats there.
All right. I will pull those up. Okay. From, there we go. We were on the Breakup Disney. Okay. Got that $20. All right. Jacob Edler said .pdf equals .exe. Ooh. Yeah. I like that one. I like that one. Jimmy Bags 86 said critical thinking crisis with Phil Labonte.
I have issues with this because the term people use the term critical thinking as if that is a positive, and it's not necessarily a positive. The idea of critical thinking is actually Marxist. The whole Marxist project was critically ruthless criticism of all that is what Marx stood for. The point is to look at things from a negative perspective, to criticize it. You can think about things and honestly think about things without thinking about them critically. But most people don't realize that to say critical thinking means to look at things from a Marxist perspective, because our entire society is redwashed. People have no idea how much influence communism and Marxist theory actually has permeated our society, and we need to rip it out of our society because it is the pathway to the destruction of liberalism.
Mm-hmm.
You can skip the next one
because
it is thank you, White Trash Panda.
I don't totally understand what it's supposed to say.
I get what it says, but I don't think that Mary would appreciate it, so we can leave it alone, and we can move on to C2.
Oh my God, I think I get it now. That's terrible.
Somebody's going to need to explain this one to me after the show.
We're going to skip that one.
We're going to skip that one.
Thank you for the money, White Trash Panda, but go to confession.
Yeah,
I'm not religious, but go to confession.
That's what Mary needs. She needs to get a shirt that says "Go to confession" and sell it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. C2 Gaming said, "In a world where James Lindsay can't be omnipresent, we need more people like Phil. Spread the good word and keep being awesome, Phil."
In a world where
without James Lindsay being there at every possible waking moment.
In a world without an omnipresent James Lindsay, one man will fight for truth.
Discount James Lindsay.
Yes.
and in the sequel, James Lindsay is omnipresent.
Yes. Yeah, right. By that point, he's ascended to a higher level of being. and through the power of I'm down. Like new discourses too. Electric Boogaloo.
Corey Anderson said, Aiden is my name. How dare you say balsa wet really fast? Balsa wet. I don't get it. What am I missing?
Ball sweat.
Oh, okay. I see that. Well, to me, it just looks like an Italian going, "Oh, my balsa wet." Like, oh, mamma mia.
Yeah,
What's the weed in
maybe,
there?
maybe that was the problem. Maybe Percy Hines White is Italian, and he just talks with his hands a lot, and he wasn't trying to touch. He wasn't trying to touch Jenna Ortega. He just doesn't know how to talk without his hands.
I always laugh because I know in our videos when they're finished, you can't see my hands, but as we're filming, my hands are all over the place. Okay, call me Snow Possum said inside peanut butter, outside jelly. I believe this is the Han Solo burger.
Perfect.
Which sounds
disgusting.
All right.
One more and then we'll finish up.
Bobcat says, Aiden, have you played Call of Duty against Bigfoot under the Bone Tree yet? Dude, I don't think we've heard from the Bone Tree guy in a while. To be honest, unless that was you, Bobcat, but I don't think it was. No, I have not played Call of Duty with Bigfoot, but maybe I should add that into the Bigfoot lore for the ads.
You should do that.
When we do ads, we have a running storyline of how they relate to my saga to find and befriend Bigfoot.
See, I wanted to get a big Bigfoot plushie to put behind here, but they're none of them were full size.
And they're also really expensive.
Yeah.
Like, it's just I should get a Bigfoot plushie though. I should get that.
All right, let's talk about one more thing real quick. First of all, I'm going to pull up the chat because it's got the poll that I put up today, which was what influencer would you let's pull it up. So far it says, what influencer college course would you prefer to take? The options were the Paul brothers, KSI, Livy Dunn, and none influencers are a blight. Well, unfortunately, YouTube doesn't seem to like that question because they have since censored this. It says that nobody voted, even though tons of people in the chat were saying that they voted. But if your answer was KSI, there is now a college course in the UK that will teach you about the rise to fame for KSI. Interesting?
I mean, when I first heard this, I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Who would take a course on KSI? But knowing that it's a course on using KSI as an example of influencer marketing and success, I kind of okay.
So I have ended the poll and the options have shown up. So there was some shenanigans going on.
Oh,
so
there were shenanigans.
With 85%, we get none. Influencers are a blight. That
fraud,
number
election
one
fraud.
choice here. With
You all lied.
With 4% tied, Livy Dunn and 4% for all three of them. 4% for Livy Dunn, 4% for the Paul brothers, and 4% for KSI, tied for second place.
Hey,
Yeah, those
that doesn't add to
percentages-
100.
Nope, those percentages don't line up. It could be point something percent, and it just rounds up.
Yeah, maybe.
We had this happen recently. But overwhelmingly,
they don't have to be 4.9%.
Yeah, overwhelmingly, we know that people say that they don't want any college courses on influencers because influencers are a blight on society. But the A-level student studying media in the UK posted this in their subreddit, which says it's an interesting product in terms of genre because it will let you figure out how he rose to fame, how he diversified his content. And all that says to me, it's just a very, very kind of clever business course on something that's just modern business, which is that influencers is just another career pathway you can take now. It's just a very, very difficult one.
I mean, I suppose it's difficult to get to the point where
I think the barrier of entry is harder because a lot of you have to find your own type of charisma. You have to figure out how your personality can work.
Okay,
for you,
wait,
not everybody.
Not everybody. Not everybody can do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Barrier to entry.
No. But I just want to bring it up. It's not college. It's A levels, which are their cumulative exams in Britain.
Okay.
So it appears this is not necessarily just for a college. This might be this is an exam.
All of them have to learn.
This is an exam textbook.
I'm
for
picturing
all British students.
I'm picturing they used to have it on the Beatles and they finally scrapped it and gotten rid of it.
That is if I understand A levels correctly.
Ringo.
But yeah, but I get it, but on the other and I just don't understand how this is necessarily. it's worse now that I know it's for all students, because I don't know how this applies to the majority of people. Like, what if you're a media studies major? Sure. If you're a digital marketing major, sure. Entertainment field, sure. You know the Kanye thing, where it's he's like, I like the Gaga, I listen to some of her music.
What the hell does she know about cameras?
That's how I feel looking at this. Like, why does a math student need to know about KSI?
My favorite part about that is how wild-eyed his eyes are when he says that. He goes, I like Gaga, and his eyes are super wide. He's like, but what the hell does she know about cameras? That's my favorite.
Like Gaga. I listen to some music.
So, look,
if you can market the product, you can sell the product.
Look, it's clever to point. It's fair to point out that it is important to learn in any career what is going to be the path forward for longevity, right? Like, you can't, like, if you go into a career, if we're supposed to take this at face value and say, like, look, I want a career as an influencer, then one of the first questions you have to ask for yourself is not just how am I going to find success, but how am I going to keep it? Because the internet is fleeting. The internet passes you by very, very quickly. You are irrelevant very, very fast if you don't work hard to stay relevant. Look at the Paul brothers. They didn't stay on the internet. They branched out, and they've moved far beyond just things involving social media or any type of YouTube. Both of them are, whether it's boxing, whether it's WWE, whether it's crypto scams, all the, was that one of them or both of them that had the Bitcoin or the crypto scam?
I think it was only one of them. It's whichever one has the Prime energy drink now.
Yeah.
With KSI.
Yeah, I think that's Jake.
I think so.
I'm not, I get them screwed up. I get them mixed up all the time. But yeah, so it's an interesting product with genre. It says that KSI has been clever in anticipating internet trends of the past decade, and it challenged its students to identify what makes his content so personal and authentic. That's hard, too.
Yeah.
It is very hard to let the walls down and find an authentic way to present yourself online. Like, I don't think people actually realize how much work actually goes in for a lot of those people into making authentic content on a regular basis. Like, some of my favorite, I have a couple of normie content creators that I follow that I love because it reminds me that the whole world isn't doom, gloom, and culture war. One of them is a singer named Sheena Melwani, who she's got kids, she's married, and I love it because she's not a feminist, but she's very much just a modern woman, but through the lens of a woman who wanted kids from a young age and had a family. The feminist, the little things about her that come out off as feminist feel almost more authentic because she's not saying that men are the problem or that men are evil. But most of her content isn't like that. Most of her content is done to make you laugh. But then you realize, like, you have to learn to be that good at looking authentic. Like, it's her and her husband playing pranks on each other. I don't know if you've ever tried to film a prank with someone. It's not like you just set the phone down and go.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. And you have to do it each and every day a lot of the time, especially if it's social media. Like, you don't get a day off. You have to have stuff coming out every day, most of the time. On most platforms, the algorithm will forget you quickly.
Yeah, which is, I mean, the fact that creators are slaves to algorithms is really, really frustrating. And it does nothing to foster creative quality content at all. Yeah. In fact, it's probably why there are so many people that seem to put out like the same content and why trends become so quickly it's almost like you have to adopt them because, well, it's free content. You know, if someone's doing the ice bucket challenge, you got to put a video up today. Wow. I mean, you don't have anything great to do. Well, might as well just jump in the ice, do the ice bucket challenge, and there you go.
That would have been less annoying if it wasn't supposedly for ALS.
I'm not specifically talking about the ice bucket challenge. I'm talking about how easy the fact that the drive for creating content creates a drive for mediocre or bad content.
And the other thing is, it's a lot of why so many TikTokers fail to make the leap to YouTube. It's a totally different beast. You're sitting on TikTok. You can make a TikTok video every day that's 15 seconds long, and it's going to cost you 5 minutes of your time. I know. I used to make 12 of them a day. Yeah. And then a day. I made videos that I actually had to research for. Now I make a TikTok every few days, and I spend 70 hours a week on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah. Like, That's, but a lot of people, they don't, their talent is in the brevity of the video.
Yeah.
So their talent is in conforming to the trend and making the trend interesting. It's not in creating their own interesting stuff. And you see a lot of people who never made that jump. People who have millions and millions and let me tell you, those people, if they were able to successfully move to YouTube, would not need managers and endorsements and brand deals.
Yeah.
They would be making buckets of money every few seconds. Yeah. But because they're not long form content creators, they fail. Yeah. And a lot of them also, like, they're these content creator houses and stuff that TikTok created. Yeah. Like, what was that?
I like the old people one. That one's great.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Of the old folks home content creators?
Yeah.
It's like, it's elderly content creators. It's freaking great. Like, that's, it's, I don't know if it's wholesome. I do get the vibe sometimes that it's like, I'm picturing some like 20-something Gen Z guy going like, hey, old man, get up and dance.
Yeah.
Like that's what I picture as like the worst part. Like in 20 years, we're going to get like the behind the scenes story about the elderly content house.
Yeah.
And it's just like a bunch of Gen Z kids being like, hey, grandpa, get the hell up and do the shuffle. And like, that's scary.
Yeah,
but
I
in
wouldn't
general,
like that.
Yeah. So it says the textbook uses KSI as a demonstration of differences between traditional celebrities and influencers, saying instead of attracting fans with their beauty and luxurious lifestyles, influencers rely on two main qualities: authenticity and relatability. Some of them even pivot into like they've got money now. And so, like the Paul brothers have the money, they've got the lifestyle.
It's much easier to make content on a regular basis when you are not finding financial challenges in addition to the creative challenges.
And but also when you have things that normal people are seeking, or like that people inherently find interesting, like travel, like luxury Instagram pages do huge numbers because people are interested in it because it's not their life.
Yeah.
Right? So people want to see what, a snapshot of life they're not living a lot of the time. And then you get the weird channels with the people who like it's like how to accumulate wealth, and it's like modern this and it's a bunch of red
the
pill
alpha
advice.
male dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it myself because like when we're on tour, I can come up with stuff to put up on
It's interesting.
Instagram every day.
Yep.
Because it's a
Very
different
easy.
location, different places. There's a bunch of people around, etc. Otherwise, like I'm alone the vast majority of the time. Like I'm really a solitary kind of person.
Me too.
So it's not really all that interesting to watch my day-to-day life because I'm hanging out by myself, reading or looking at something on the internet, or maybe playing video games or going to the gym. And because I'm not a fitness guy, it's not like I have like compelling, where I'm going to show people workouts or whatever. It's like, so coming up with content, if you're not that kind of person, is a challenge in and of itself.
Also, being personal and authentic when you're a traditional celebrity is very, very difficult because people smell bullshit from a mile away.
Yeah.
In fact, that tends to, at least in my opinion, people that don't have that bug for celebrity worship, they see celebrities attempting to relate to you and me.
It's the how do you do fellow kids meme.
And it turns them off to it. Like my favorite thing has been last year was like Gwyneth Paltrow looking really, really unapproachable and hoity-toity. I'm like, this is great. She's rich. I have nothing in common with her. She shouldn't be looking to relate to me. What the hell does Gwyneth Paltrow understand about my life? I don't understand anything about her life.
I mean, I don't know anything about Gwyneth Paltrow's life at all. I do find her extremely attractive. I don't know why, honestly. I mean, she's
Hold on.
She's pretty, but
okay.
I said extremely attractive. I didn't put a number on her. Don't go and tell me that.
But I need to know
Brie Larson or Gwyneth Paltrow?
exactly.
Gwyneth Paltrow at Brie Larson's age, probably Gwyneth Paltrow.
All right.
Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow. Because
fair modification.
Because there is a difference between young and pretty.
True.
A lot of women are pretty when they're young because they're young, and as they get older, they get less attractive because they're not pretty. If you're actually pretty when you're young, then you'll continue to be pretty as you get older.
Yeah.
You know?
And also,
I was not pretty when I was young.
Actually, I was kind of pretty when I was young.
There you go.
Feels like I was gorgeous.
He's like, I hate to admit it, but I was gorgeous.
No,
when I was young.
I mean, I was a little, a little femme looking because I never acted like femmy, but I had kind of delicate features. I was kind of pretty. So.
Yep. And for me, like the stuff I post is always skating content because that's what I do. That's interesting when I go out and skate. I post that stuff because that's actually me endeavoring to create something when I go out to do it. So it is what it is. But that's not the same thing as being a content creator whose goal it is to actually relate to people and build a following that way. It's just a subculture that has unique aspects. So I don't know. Take the KSI course and learn something, I say. It's better than the Harry Styles course, I'll tell you that.
I don't think there's a problem with a KSI course at all.
No.
I think if you're interested in media, that's a good idea.
Yep. And there will be other examples. I think you could study the Paul brothers on how to branch out your business and change your business model from one, going all the way back to the Vine days and being able to grow with the platforms. That's an accomplishment as well. A lot of people don't actually know how to do that. So it is something. All right, guys, we got some super chats there. Yes,
I know.
Yes.
I know.
You're just.
I was enamored by Phil 30 years ago.
I
had to look. I had to
You're
look.
looking at pictures.
Yeah.
There you go. Can you send it to
30
me?
years ago, I don't think you have anything.
I don't know, 20, 30.
20 years ago.
I figured there was in the range, right?
Just Google All That Remains: The Fall of Ideals pics.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So, Sketch Therapy said, fair enough, but Pewds knew how to let go. Mr. Beast hasn't. Not entirely sure what that's in reference to.
Hold on, I'm looking up.
Okay. Corey Anderson said, raccoons are native to North America. There is no way Pol Pot had one. I mean, Pol Pot spent time in Europe, didn't he?
Pol Pot was, I believe he was educated in Switzerland.
I know Ho Chi Minh was educated in Europe, so I mean, it's possible they went to America and picked themselves up. Also, when you're the leader of a country, you can have a raccoon delivered.
I mean,
they had
leader is. I mean, he there was not a lot of like option. Like there was a whole lot of force in him becoming the quote unquote leader.
Well, one little fun fact for people who take this stance, by the way.
Are we talking this picture? Like pictures like these? Hold on. With the You Mad shirt?
No, that's not. Those are only a few years old.
Okay.
I'm talking about 2006.
Yeah, look up like Phil Labonte 2006.
Okay.
You'll probably find it. Right. But so pineapples, not native to Europe, but once discovered, they thought these were very cool. And they were tasty, of course. But they would import pineapples to Europe. And pineapples were so rare and such a status symbol that you would rent the pineapple.
You would rent them to walk around with. Yes.
No, for your dinner party, you'd have a pineapple. Nobody would eat the pineapple.
Yeah.
No, because somebody else had the pineapple next. And then by the time you're eating the pineapple, it's like 4 weeks old. It's been unripe for forever.
Is this is this a photo we're talking about?
No, that's not. I said look in the Discord for the message. I'm putting a couple in there.
Okay.
Now.
Corey Anderson also said Gavin Newsom is the Antichrist.
Slack, sorry.
Gavin Newsom is the Antichrist.
He is the Antichrist. He's a terrible human being.
There we go.
He's not a good person. Oh boy, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Those are young.
That's what I'm talking about.
Young Phil.
Young Phil.
I like it.
That could be your rap name, Young Phil.
Young Phil.
With a U.
With a
Young,
U.
Yeah.
Old Warrior 34 said, in the original Rainbow Six, they literally make an Ebola vaccine that kills people because they want to depopulate the Earth because climate change.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's the thing is, this all would have been a lot easier to stomach if Bill Gates weren't on record like 3-4 years ago saying that we need population control.
That's the thing. There's a whole lot of people that really believe we need population control.
Yeah.
They really believe that the Earth should only have like 1 million people on it, which is an extremely anti-human, again,
wildly low number.
Anti-human. There's no reason to think that
that's back to the Bronze Age.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe that the planet cannot support the population that we have now. We absolutely have. There's no reason to believe that at all.
Well, also the big problem is how many people live in the cities. Like, I mean, if you're gonna complain about supply chain and food availability, like out in the suburbs, we don't really have trouble getting food.
No.
Kellen, the official data said Satan looks like Anthony Fauci. I'm not Satan. I'm just Italian.
No, it's I'm not perverted. I'm just.
I know, but I was going with the
we'll go with
Fauci version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got his own version.
yeah, exactly. DD Megadoodoo 97 said, Aiden, yesterday you said I type boys like a Frenchman, and I took that personally.
And I took that personally.
And he changed the spell. He changed it to be BOIS.
And I took that personally.
Sketch Therapy says Call of Duty Cold War had a Bezmenov intro/speech. Yuri Bezmenov.
What was that?
Call of Duty Cold War.
Oh, yes. I
to
was pumped when I saw that. I was like, this is great.
I never played Cold War because I developed a distaste after Black Ops 3. But I'm thinking I'll go back and play.
When they released Vanguard, I was really bummed out. I didn't like the Vanguard stuff at all.
I didn't play Vanguard at all. I just used the guns in Warzone because you had to, because they had twice the attachments, which was
annoying.
Also, speaking of boys, BOIS, we have special guest tomorrow. Paul Boyce will be the guest.
Cool.
Will be the guest on here. BOIS.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a writer at Breitbart. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome.
All right. Corey Anderson said, sorry, Aiden, that was autocorrect, spelling my name wrong. Thank you. And he said, are you selling your calendar? Yeah, once we figure out a way to distribute the calendar, we will sell the Lore Lodge Sexy Calendar.
And then, like, no matter how many you sell, you have to just bump that number by a bunch and just say, like, best-selling calendar, man.
Of all time.
Disco Jensen just put in a $20.
Oh, Disco Jensen says, here's some money. Start families and lead them.
Yes.
There you
Smart.
go.
I plan on sending you, Brett. I will send you a signed copy of the Sexy
It's going
Calendar.
up behind me.
Good, as it should.
It's going up behind me.
Let's see. Call Me Snow Possume said, hold up, that's not how you say my name, sir. Well, you know what? You shouldn't have spelled it Possume then. He said, and no, it's
Excuse
a 3-6
me,
Mafia lyric. Also, do you have a moment to talk about your car's extended warranty? Well, now I want to. Now I'm trying to. Okay, inside peanut butter, outside jelly was the lyric. Okay, okay. I need to know. You need to send like a regular chat telling me how to actually pronounce your name, because I'm reading it and I'm like Possume.
I was never the biggest 3-6 fan. It was like
3-6 Mafia.
yeah, it was
Right,
like
says
it was
party.
It had a big. I was more of a Mob Deep guy.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what 3-6 Mafia is.
Really? Okay.
What is it? Is it a rap? It sounds like a rap group.
Yeah, it is. But I was more of a Mob Deep guy.
I did not listen to a lot of rap growing up. It was not something that my household was.
I listened to a lot of gangster rap.
Yep, me too. I think just because it was the 90s, and that's what you, in the 90s, what you did, especially if you were from the suburbs and white, you listened to a lot of gangster rap. You listened to Two Live Crew, you listened to Tupac, you listened to Biggie, Bone Thugs, UG 8-Ball and MJG, UGK, all these artists that have nothing in common with you, but my gosh, were they cool.
Yeah, most of the rap I listened to was either Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or through like Linkin Park or something.
And I also liked making fun of underground rap because I always thought of them as try hard, and I would be like, oh, intellectual music. Aren't you special? Where's your
where's my monocle?
Twist your mustache, Mr. Monopoly Man. Like and I'll be fair. I grew to like some of Sage Francis's political music. The song Slow Down Gandhi is particularly a good one, where he says he does really talk about how evil the cover, like he says, Republican, Democrat, one party system. Like he's not wrong. And he had a lot of good music, but that was about the extent of it. Maybe some idea and abilities, because that's Midwest stuff. So yeah.
All right. 1,000 Foot Deep End sent two. One says broken up into two chats because YouTube won't let me put them together. Sound of Freedom met its 5 million P&A funding goal through Angel Studios crowdfunding. People want this movie. You can also pay it forward and buy tickets for others to claim on their site. Ooh. Good to know. I will be making an announcement about that on the Lore Lodge channel as well.
They also said in the, like, one of the things that was great, when we didn't even get into it in the topic, is they said, like, look, we can't say why it took so long, but maybe it's God's plan that it took this long for the movie to come out, which you know. I
will sit here as a Christian and be like, that seems appropriate given the current situation.
Yep, it does.
another God won tally. Corey Anderson said, Phil, thoughts on Beartooth?
Great band.
I like Beartooth.
Great band.
Jimmy Bags 86 said, Phil, rational problem solving is better than critical thinking.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that that update.
God. All right. Rhaegar Targaryen said, "You know about Gwyneth Paltrow, but what about Goop?"
I'm aware of Goop. Allegedly, it smells like her vagina.
Yep.
I don't
She's
believe
a candle that smells like her vagina. Also,
Was that the intention of
also,
the candle?
Yes.
a mini vibrator that you wear as a necklace for women.
I will not believe that the candle smells like her vagina ever, unless I actually can find out firsthand.
This is the only fansification of like MLM schemes.
No. It's
It's
way
the
more. It's way
Lululemmification.
more pretentious than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like they're taking like multi-level marketing and making
Yeah.
it sexy in the worst possible way.
I don't know if it's sexy, but I'm not sure.
Would you say like somebody said like Bitcoin is just a multi-level marketing scheme for bros?
Oh God, that's so annoying.
Listen,
because-
I know.
you guys complain about the multi-level marketing when you never sold Cutco like I did.
No, I never sold any knives.
listen,
I still have mine. The ones they gave me, they're kind of nice.
And by the way,
have
I'm just saying
issues.
that other people say that. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that
I have
believe
issues with that characterization of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, people that are like, oh, Bitcoin, blah blah blah. It's like you're the person that mocked email.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
if you are making jokes about Bitcoin, what
Exactly.
you're doing is making jokes about email. You are, what's his name? Oh, what was his name? The dumbest Nobel Prize winner in history. He said that the
Barack Obama?
internet. No, he said that the internet was going to be no more impactful than
Paul Krugman.
Paul Krugman. Paul Krugman said the internet is going to be
Paul
no
Krugman.
more impactful than the fax machine. If you're making fun of Bitcoin,
Yep.
you are Paul Krugman.
That was the point I was going to make when you were done talking. I'm so glad you said it.
And
That
it's-
is exactly what you are doing.
It's also a weird hysteria. Like the people who hate it are the same. Like there's a strong correlation. I bet you if you look, I have no proof of this. I have no evidence whatsoever. But I bet you there is a strong correlation between somebody making fun of Bitcoin and complaining about landlords. I'm just saying that it's
almost certain.
Oh yeah.
guarantee it.
Yeah. Bitcoin is just being able to email value. That's
Yep.
it. You can take something and you can guarantee that the value that you put into it is still there when the person receives it. So.
And it's not even like multi-level marketing. It's because you don't have to buy in and sell to somebody
I
else.
get what the joke was that
okay.
the person's making, but it's a bad joke.
Yeah, it's terrible, and I think that it harms an important technology.
Yeah.
Because Bitcoin gets you away from third parties, and nowadays when you're dealing with things like, or Bitcoin can get you away from third parties when you're dealing with the possibility of having the wrong opinion, so the bank closes your bank account, you can't get credit cards because of these kind of things. The Bitcoin network actually gives you an option that cannot be in any way, you can't be prevented from using it. It is permissionless, which means you don't need someone else to say you're allowed to use it. So
Also,
Holy
people-
Verse says, name 10 cryptos.
Actually,
shall I?
I might be able to.
I 100 million % absolutely can.
It's and the other thing with Bitcoin too is like a lot of people look at Bitcoin and they just see it as another version of currency. They don't understand what the blockchain is or how frequently it's already used. Like blockchain technology is very widely used, and this is just
Twitter
taking
uses-
blockchain and making
Doesn't
it currency.
Twitter use blockchain?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I believe like a lot, and it's really funny because that's the other one. They inherently hate blockchain. Like the people that just they don't understand what it is, but they hate it. And I have the same. I make the same critique of people who critique AI. Like a lot of the times they don't really get it, but they hate it. And I'm humble enough to say like a lot of the stuff I don't get it, but I don't have a strong reaction to it one way or the other.
Most topics have some type of political tint to them or some kind of political favor, and people that are going to be pro Bitcoin are going to be people that are pro markets, people that are pro capitalism, people that are pro liberalism. People that are going to be against Bitcoin are going to be people that want government control, that want to have the control taken away from the populations.
Jimmy Bags 86 says, Phil later. This is not financial advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's none of it's financial advice, because I'm not talking about the value of coins or anything. I'm talking the ability to send value securely over the internet. That's it.
The only I've only got like what Bitcoin, Monero, and Ethereum, and that's all I've really ever delved into.
Also Avalanche.
Yeah. Solana.
Dogecoin.
I never bought any Doge.
I did buy Doge.
Imagine-
I had 800 Dogecoin before it went to the moon, and I sold it
I always tell this story. Have you ever seen the
before it went to the moon.
Have you ever seen the graphic? It's a meme of an old tabletop gaming tournament where it's a tabletop gaming tournament. And first prize is $500. Second prize is $100. Third prize is $5, and fourth and fifth prize were 25 Bitcoins each.
Yep. You want to know what pisses me off? I had an ANCAP buddy when I was a freshman in college who was all about Bitcoin in 2017. He told me how to do it, and I went, I just don't have the money.
Yeah.
I could have bought into Bitcoin at $1,800
Yeah.
and bought one, and I would not have college debt.
Yeah.
Instead, I have college debt.
I do wish that I bought Bitcoin when I first found out what Bitcoin was.
Yeah, it hurts my soul.
Because it was like $1 or $2.
It was like a couple of cents at first.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
the first. I mean, the first exchange was like 10 or 20,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
it was something ridiculous.
Tacti Plady says, was it tabletop, Brett, or was it a StarCraft tournament? I could be mistaken.
I think it was StarCraft. Now that I think about it,
even better.
that makes sense that it was Bitcoin too. I've played exactly one round of StarCraft in my life. Sketch Therapy said many stay in the game till it ends. Pewds didn't. True.
You know,
He just kind of walked away with his money.
he can do that.
I mean, he made so much money. Like, what is
Well,
he?
and to be honest,
does he no longer make?
I think he doesn't make YouTube. I don't think he does it as consistently anymore. But like, to be honest, that's our goal with the Lore Lodge is we want to get to a point 10 years from now. I don't want to be spending 60 hours a week in front of my computer researching.
Someone in the chat earlier just made some remark. They said I forget the way they worded it, but it was something about like start the band back up, and I'm like, the band is like why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like I still do the band. Like I'm in LA. I was in LA earlier this year. I'm going next week to write. Like, and the point is, it's like you do like it's awesome that I could do the band and stuff, but like the point of the band is so that way I get to do that for work, so I don't have to chase a job or whatever. So. Anyways,
Rhaegar Targaryen said the devil clearly looks like Tim Curry in Legend.
My favorite of Tim Curry is still Home Alone 2.
is what?
Home Alone 2. He's the he's the front end guy.
I'm partial to Clue.
A man of culture, I see.
I love Clue. Yeah, it's a great.
All
movie.
right.
Fear Me It's Bree said, fairly certain that Phil started All That Remains the year I was born. Was it 1998? Also, Gavin Newsom is a greasy salamander.
Yes and yes.
I pointed out, I was talking to somebody yesterday about the show Life, which features Jennifer Siebels, who is now known as Jennifer Siebels Newsom. She's married to Gavin Newsom, and I was shocked by that because I remember they had Kimberly Guilfoyle on IRL, and I found out she was married to Newsom, and I was like, what? What? It really is a big club, and you're not in it.
That must have been a difficult marriage for her. I can only imagine. Like, Grofty said, buck.
Yeah, thank you, Grofty. Buck.
The White Trash Panda said, okay, I was Pol Pot's pet Tanuki, which is a raccoon dog.
Ah, okay.
All right, well, see, now we've come along. We made it make sense. James Orenthal Wen said, PCC After Dark, where Phil metal screams all the hot takes behind paywall. Please, K, thanks. E.g., Martha Stewart could still catch these cashews all night long.
Hey, I saw that Sports Illustrated cover.
I will admit I was shocked. I did not know Martha Stewart was 81.
Yeah.
That was the part that surprised me. Is I was like, wait, she's that old?
Prison didn't bother her one bit.
Disco Jensen said, here's some money. Right, okay, there we got that one. Agamemnon's Gym Bag. I still love that name. There are wild hippos in Colombia thanks to some chap named Pablo. Pole could easily have obtained a raccoon.
There you go.
Yeah, true. Old Warrior 34 said, Black Ops 3 was the COD Zombies golden age. I was never big into zombies.
No, I was never big into zombies either.
Modern Warfare 3, the original one, the survival mode, we played that. My friend and I still are in the top, I think, 400 for specifically the Seatown map.
Yeah.
And we didn't even lose. My mom made me come home for dinner. We had been on it for like 6 hours. We got to wave 90 on Seatown. And then we decided we weren't going to die. We were going out on our own terms, so we jumped into the well.
Yeah. And
we died. And that was it. And I was like, Godspeed, brother. DD Megadoodoo 97 said, as and kitties, as and kitties. Yeah.
There you go.
Call me Snow Possum said, sorry, bro. Sorry, Brohim probably can't spell possum. Thanks, public school. So do you have a moment to talk about your car's extended warranty? To get a little bit more technical, possum does have an O at the beginning.
Opossum.
Opossum, yeah.
But it's silent.
Yeah. Nobody says the O. It's like pterodactyl. Rhaegar Targaryen said, 3-6 Mafia won the Academy Award for the song It's Hard Out There for a Pimp. Hustle and flow. Also, most underground rappers are commies.
They're very much social justice oriented. I've noticed a lot of them culturally. I think that's because they populate heavily in cities. It's part of that urban mentality. Yeah. Like some of them, like I said, back when I was younger, I didn't care because I was politically unaware. I didn't dislike them because because of their political affiliations. I disliked them because they were annoying and they seemed high and mighty, and I didn't like that.
Yeah. All right. DD Megadoodoo 97 said, Breet, have you tried to reach out to Jim Caviezel? I have no idea how that is spelled. I think it would be based enough to come onto the show.
I would love. I mean, he's an IRL guest too. He's a very big actor. He's a very big name. It would
be a good Friday IRL guest because he could do this and then.
If he did, then I would simp about Person of Interest the whole time, and we'd get nothing done because I'd talk about how awesome that show is.
Yeah, it would be awesome if you guys brought him in on like a Thursday for Culture War and then had him here Friday for this and IRL. Yeah, if you could get him.
I want them to get James Woods.
That would be fun. Yeah.
That would be cool.
Sketch Therapy said, Pewds relaxed and has a beautiful prego wife in paradise.
Yep.
Well, I'm happy for him that he's having a wife and a kid. That's good for him.
All right.
Everybody needs a little bit of love in their life.
Exactly. Guys, before we go, would you like this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Thank you very much. Phil, my friend, let everyone know where they can find you.
I am Phil Labonte. You can find me on Twitter at Phil That Remains. I am at Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube, and I just recently ratioed Senator Scott Wiener from California because he's gross.
Isn't he the guy that was complaining that they were making it illegal to have gay relations with minors?
Yes.
Okay. Good. I thought that's what I read.
All right, Aiden.
All right.
Everyone know where they can find you.
I'm Aiden Mattis. I am the host of a little show called The Lore Lodge right here on YouTube. We talk about the paranormal and conspiracies and religion and history and how it all ties together. And you can also find me at The Aiden Mattis basically everywhere. And you can watch me not take shit from commies over on Twitter at Aiden Mattis.
Yes. And we got a $2 super chat from High Voltage 75. He says, just got here. Can you guys start over? Sorry, buddy. I got editing to do. I got work to do. I'm going to be here all night anyway.
I can do this really quick. All right, ready?
And
Brett skates. Phil's here. I'm here.
There. Perfect. Guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show, Pop Culture Crisis, is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you'd prefer to listen to this show. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are on Twitter at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Grofty for $2 says Buck Buck Bok Phil? Question mark.
Buck Phil?
Yep, Buck Buck Bok.
Buck? I'm not sure what that. I mean, I understand you're making chicken noises, or maybe you're making like Cadbury eggs comments or whatever. But
and with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye
Later.
now.